tegevu nva nnungi ate tezirwa kugaga. Naffe akageri bwe kiri bwe kityo agaali twagala tugakuwe mu budde mwennyini nkwaniriza oliko NTV ku ssaawa emu kansooke nkuwe emitwe emikolo. Ebikolwa by'obukambwe ekyegegwa abavubuka bannalukalala eyali abulira enjiri bamutematema amajambiya ne bamuta. Omupoliisi gwe bakuba amasasi yaziikiddwa leero. Poliisi yakakwatako 6.
Batuchalinga ennaku 45 ng'olunaku batuchalinga emirundi 4.
Okutulugunya abasibe eyali ku kalabba n'ateebwa alumye bannamakomera agamba batta banne 2 ng'alaba ne batulugunya n'abalala 7 mudda nabo ne bafa.
Oba oliawo emmundu zino zitta abantu ziyita ku boda wano.
Obubbi bw'emmundu mu mambuka g'eggwanga. Emmundu ezikozesebwa okunyaga abantu ziva mu ggwanga lya South Sudan, endala zasigala mu kitundu mu biseera by'olutalo.
Tulina n'obuzibu obugamagana n'envunza.
Envunza zitabukidde ab'e Namutamba 10 baweereddwa ebitanda mu ddwaliro basobole okujjanjabibwa. NTV ku ssaawa emu ate nnyongera okukwaniriza. Nze Patrick Mukasa. Ketutandike ne poliisi saako n'amagye bali ku muyiggo gw'abannalukalala abayisiraamu abagambibwa okuba nti baalumba ekkanisa ne batematema abantu be basanga nga basaba. Mu bano nno baliko omu gwe batema ebiso omukyala nga ye yafiirawo nga yali wa myaka 18. Poliisi bwe yajja okutaasiriza ate omu ku mupoliisi bamugirayo emmundu naye ne bamuta nga olunaku olwaleero ono omupoliisi lwaziikiddwa. Ketulabe ate ebisingawo ku ggulire lino eritali lya ssanyu.
Tutambudde kilomita 44 okuva mu tawuni ya disitulikiti y'Ekyegegwa okutuuka ku kyalo kya Liboni mu ggombolola ya Hapuyo nga kino ky'ekyalo awakolebwa obulumbaganyi ku balokole abaali bagenda mu maaso n'okusinza Katonda mu kiro ekyakeesa olwokutaano. Wano tutuuse mu maka awava omugenzi Biata mu Kashaka omuwala w'emyaka 18 eyatemuddwa abateeberezebwa okuba abazigu abeerambika mu ddiini y'Obuyisiraamu. Ab'eŋŋanda be ssaako n'emikwano bakyalina ennaku ey'amaanyi olw'ettemu lino era bajjukira bulungi akaseera byabeereddewo.
Kuza kwimuka kwasanga araba n'akalaba Basiraamu bakamanza bateera iddirisa ko baherize warabire mu dirisa yagena yayigura umuryango ko yamazire kwigura umuryango akaba ari hakatute ari kwegesa ari kuburira we bamukwata ko amazire kumukwata bamutera inyundo yahanuya bashwa mutera impango yaha bashwa bamutera mu mutwe.
Bano batubulidde nti bulijjo ade batiisibwa abazigu bano nga baagala okubakaka okuyingira eddiini y'Obuyisiraamu.
Ngo bitekanize kurwana urutaro mpaka bakita abakafire bona bakabamaraho.
Je bakora gwebanga bahita omuntu bamuburira twagara otwegeteko tubere omu kati oboganye tujja kukuta.
Abatuuze bano bakyalina okweraliikirira nti abazigu bano bandikomawo okwongera okubatuusaako obulabe.
Tulina obulumi bungi kati nawe olaba essanyu teririiko. Naffe tweralikidde nti obu bajja kujja batutte naffe.
Tulina obwoba ngo nitwe kandi bayija nitwe baratwita.
Wakati mu nnyika ey'amaanyi baazise mu Kashaka ku ssaawa 9 ez'olweggulo. Okuva wano tweyongeddeyo mita nga 10 okutuuka kkanisa ya Mungu Mwema awakoleddwa ettemu lino. Mu kaseera kano enkambi y'amagye ne poliisi weeteereddwa okumyawo obutebenkevu ku kyalo kino. Abatuuze baadde batandise okwambuka ebifo by'eno olw'okutya okw'amaanyi. y'omwogezi w'amagye mu bitundu bya Rwenzori asambaza ebigambibwa nti abakoze ebikolwa bino bandibanga bayeekera.
Tebali baweekera, they are not rebels. Mpozi abasajja b'empisa mbi mu kitundu. Anti sigamba nti
ono awakanyiza n'ebyogerwa nti abasiraamu beno bonna bakyamu.
Si musiraamu yenna abadde mu kyenjojo kyegeegwa nti ya participate. Mpozi abasiraamu nga 8 abantu abamanyi be bakikoze anti be tuli mu kufollowinga kulaba nti tukoze eki nti tubakwata.
Ensonga z'okunoonyereza zikutte wansi ne waggulu kati era nga 3 okuva ku kibinja ky'abazigu abasiraamu be bakakwatibwa. Abakyaliira ku nsiko nga beekwese mu nsozi bateebereza okuba nga bali wakati w'abantu 10 na 26. Kino kye kifo awagambibwa okuba nga abavubuka ab'ekibinja ky'abasiraamu basinzidde okuva okukola obulumbaganyi ku kanisa eryawo ku muliraano. Ekifo kiri bwe kiti kubanga abatuuze abadde balina obusungu obw'amaanyi basazeewo okujja ne bakimenyaamenya ssaako n'okukyokya. Ate w'ogenda wali kumpi kye kifo kyennyini bw'ojja okusanga omusirikale wa poliisi we yakubiddwa amasasi. Mbeera mu kaseera kano etandise okudda mu nteeko yadde ng'okutya kukyali kw'amaanyi mu mitima gy'abantu. Suhail Mugabi, NTV kusawemu.
Webale nnyo Suhail Mugabi. Suhail Mugabi akyali kyegegwa era agenda kubanga kutusaako ebirala ebigenda mu maaso ate mu kitundu ekyo. Era saliddwa ogw'okufa nga kati yateereddwa wiiki emu emabega alumye abasirikale b'amakomera okutulugunya abasibe banne 2 ate ne bamala ne bafa. Yahaya Lukwago agamba nti naye yennyini yatulugunyizibwa ng'ali mu kkomera nti era emyaka 14 gy'amaze mu nkomyo alabye omugatte gw'abantu 9 ate abatulugunyiziddwa era ne balwaddaaki ne bafa. Wabula omwogezi w'amakomera Frank Baine bino abiise ebyappa.
Omulamuzi Faith Monda yasindika Yahaya Lukwago kati aweze emyaka 43 ku kalabba mu mwaka gwa 2003 oluvannyuma lw'okusingibwa omusango gw'okwenyigira mu bwakkondo. Yahaya yali omuvuzi wa mmotoka ya special yakwatibwa mu mwaka gwa 2000 enkoma mu disitulikiti y'Embale nga kigambibwa nti yali atambuza bakkondo era omulamuzi yamusalira gwa kufa. Mu kuwakanya ekibonerezo kya kalabba kyasalibwawo nti abasibe abaali basaliddwa ogw'okufa naye nga bamaze emyaka egisuka mu 3 nga tebawanikibwa nga kalabba basonyiibwe. Yahaya yateereddwa ng'ennaku z'omwezi 2 omwezi guno oluvannyuma lw'okumala emyaka 14 mu kkomera. Yahaya agamba nti yatulugunyizibwa ng'ali mu kkomera Luzira nti era mu kugezaako okukweka ebyabatukako baatwalibwa mu kkomera ly'e Kirinnya Ejjinja ne bongera okubatulugunya.
Abalala ne bafuna ebisago nange kennyini ne nkosebwa amagulu gonna.
Bano bafumitawo kiso kyamu bibeera ku mmundu zaabwe ezo. Yali agala kufumita liiso n'entekawo omukono kiso ne kikwata wano.
Atutegeeza nti bwe baali bawakanya ekya munnaabwe yali agenda okufa nga tafunye bujjanjabi mu kkomera ly'e Kirinnya. Bannaabwe 2 Felix Alirongo ne Abudu Kalimu battibwa nga n'okutuusa kati abantu baabwe tebamanyi gye baabaziika.
Ne bagaana omutwala mu ddwaliro ng'ali kuvunda. Kati abasibe fenga afa abakondemo abamu ne bavayo ne bagamba naye lwaki temutwala muntu mu ddwaliro ne bagira bati ng'omuntu embeera mbi ayagala kufa bufi ne batulugunya okukakana nga abantu 2 ku sport bafiiriddewo. Omulala bamuyitanga Felix Alolo nga mwana nzaala ya West Nile bamutirawo ku sport. Omulala bamuyita Abdul Karim.
Era n'okugamba nti waliwo abasibe abaafa olw'okuba nti baatulugunyizibwa ekyo kyangu nnyo yoba akirinako bwino agende eri amateeka.
Battukyalinga ennaku 45 ng'olunaku battukyalinga emirundi 4. Tocca engeri gye battokyalingamu nga bakugjamu engoye ne babasitamya mwenna. Kati ne wabaawo omusirikale kubo nga muzito n'abatambulirako obutambulizi musitama bwe muti. Kati omusitama bwe muti nga babajjeemu engoye ne mukwatagana n'emuno n'omuteekako omutwe bw'oti. Kati omusirikale n'ajja nga atambulira ku bibegabega nga yenanyigga muli n'owulira obulumi ng'olinga gwe bali kumenya obumenya amagumba. Layini eyo yonna erina okugwa. Abakuba wansi emimwa egyatika, abakuba wansi amaanyo.
Bw'oba otyobodde eddembe ly'omusibe ng'omuntu ovunaanibwa ng'omuntu so singa gavumenti.
Bano Yahaya agamba newankubadde ab'eŋŋanda za Lirongo bagezaako okumunoonya babakweka gye babaziika.
So abo abantu ne baddayo nga tebafunye ki? Tebafunye muntu waabwe. Naye ng'omuntu yafa bamuziika Gologoosa.
People were forced inside. Unfortunately, in the process, our principal officer was injured. He was treated, but in the long run, he also died. And in that scuffle, I don't remember any prisoner dying.
Alumiriza nti emyaka 14 gy'amaze mu nkomyo wamu n'okuwona akalabba banne 9 bafiiridde mu kkomera nga kiva ku kubatulugunya.
Era okukakana bagenze bafaako omu enamba eweze 9.
Ku bano agamba kuliko Pius Biryomunsi, Bwerere, Oryema, Peter Kato n'abalala.
His Excellency the President oba naye ateekeko abantu banoonyeze ekintu kino. Minister of Internal Affairs, Judiciary tugenda mu kooti kubanga ono bamukuba ne bamufuula mulema ate n'abalala bamukutukira mu ngalo abo tuyinza obutagenda mu kooti kubanga abantu be tetumanyi gye bali naye abantu be singa balabi abantu baabo abaafa singa balabika nabo tujja genda mu kooti nga tusaba kooti eriyirire abazadde b'abantu abo abaasigalawo.
Jingo Francis, NTV kusaawa emu.
Iyo nga tuvuddeyo mu kitundu kyaffe ekyokubiri nga tulambulula obubbi bw'emmundu obusuza bw'omu mambuka g'eggwanga ng'emitima gibali ku migongo. Poliisi etegeezezza nti eriko byezudde kuwa emmundu ezikozesebwa mu bunyazi buno gye ziva. Bagamba nti nnyingi ku mmundu zino ziva mu ggwanga lya South Sudan so nga abantu abamu basigaza emmundu mu biseera by'olutalo lw'amawale Joseph Kony ne basajja be aba Lord's Resistance Army LRA.
Okuva amagye g'eggwanga lwe gafuumula amawale Joseph Kony ne basajja be aba LRA mu Uganda omwanga bamale bagwolekeza eggwanga lya Central African Republic gye bagambibwa okuba na buli kati abantu b'omu mambuka g'eggwanga batandika okudda mu maka gaabwe era ne batandika n'okukwaza emirimu gyabwe nga tewali abakuba ku mukono. Kyokka mu myezi 2 egiyise obubbi bw'emmundu bwabalukawo mu bitundu by'omu mambuka abantu ne bakubwa amasasi ssaako n'okubbibwako ebintu byabwe. Abakulira ebyokwerinda bagamba nti kino baali tebakisuubira.
Wanga abamu bakwate ne batigumya abo boda okusinga babakuba amasasi magulu tebabatta.
Wabula abatuuze bagamba nti embeera eno yandibanga evudde ku lutalo oluyindira mu ggwanga lya South Sudan. Emu ku mmundu 5 poliisi ze yazuula yali yava mu South Sudan ng'eyagirina bamukwatira Karuma. Emmundu eno yasangibwa ng'esaliddwako akadumu n'ekibaawo ky'emabega. Emmundu esaliddwako akadumu eba ya bulabe nnyo kubanga bwekubwa tevuga nnyo.
Obwede nti byali biriyo naye bwe Abasudani batangira okuyingira wano mu Uganda kati embundu zitandise okuboneka mu Uganda.
Ssentebe wa disitulikiti y'eggulu Martin Ojala agamba nti newankubadde nga waliwo endowooza nti emmundu ziva South Sudan naye bukyanga lutalo lwa Kony luggwa waliwo abantu abatazaayo mundu zaabwe eri ab'ebyokwerinda nga kuno kwotadde n'abo abayambangako gavumenti mu byobukesi.
There were a number of operatives employed by government, a number of people who were helping the armed forces in giving them intelligence information. So there were people who were working very closely with the armed forces and trying to support the process of, ending the conflict. And some of them were armed. So the question we are beginning to hear right now is whether after the conflict they have been disarmed.
Martin era agamba nti abantu abasinga bavaayo mu nsiko oluvannyuma lwa gavumenti okubasuubiza nti ejja kukola ku byetaago byabwe wabula ebbanga liweze nga mpaawo kye balaba. Kino nakyo kiyinza okuba nga kye kimu ku ebyo ebireese obumenyi bw'amateeka okweyongera mu kitundu.
And they came back knowing very well that they would be supported, they would be rehabilitated, they would become very productive. And these are people who today have failed to see some of the kind of expectation they thought they would meet. They have not met, and they are very bitter.
Omuntu yasigaze mundu mu lutalo njagala kubasaba nti mundu eyo osobola okukitwala mu poliisi, osobola okukitwala mu magye, osobola okukitwala bishop oba reverend oba father, osobola okukitwala mukulu w'abasiraamu ntwaye mundu eno sagala bantegere nali njirina mundi hiyo eje kututuka ku polisi.
Yo ku nsalo ya Sudan ne Uganda eyelegu ebyokwerinda byongezeddwamu amaanyi. Oluvannyuma lw'abantu abawerako okubwa amasasi mu kibuga ky'eggulu wabaddewo endowooza nti oba oli awo emmundu ezikozesebwa mu ttemu lino ziva Sudan okudda ne Uganda. Amagye ne poliisi bongeddemu amaanyi mu kebera buli ava Sudan okudda Uganda okulaba nti teri mundu zikukusibwa. Aaron Mukama, NTV, elegu.
Kulikayo Aaron Mukama. Bo abantu 10 bawereddwa ebitanda mu Nzize Health Center 4 mu disitulikiti y'e Namutumba lwakulumibwa nvunza ne zibaweebwa kumpi kubamiza muso. Abasinga ku bano baana bali wansi wa myaka 12. Bano baleeteddwa nga babulako kwavula olw'envunza okubali ebigere kumpi kwagala kubimalawo.
Abalwadde b'envunza bano nga abasinga ku bo baana okutuuka okuleetebwa mu ddwaliro wano baabadde tebakyasobola yadde okusimba ekigere ku ttaka.
Tulina n'obuzibu obugemagana n'envunza nga baatuleeteire gano abalwaire ab'envunza abagera oti 10 okuva mu byalo era nga bakoseibwa kiganvu kubanga ni bw'obalingirira okutambula tebasobola kutambula lugendo lugeza waira akooteekera emiti olw'envunza okubakosa.
Era olwatuusiddwa mu ddwaliro wano baweereddwa woodi eyaabwe okutangira envunza obutasaasaana eri abalwadde abalala.
Ayenga diremye nagulako eddagala n'afuuwa ku munumba ng'omala ng'otitefuuwa.
Abamu ku b'embeera yabadde mbi nnyo era ng'omwana ono eyateereddwa ne ku ccupa y'amazzi amangu ddala nga yakatuusibwa mu ddwaliro wano. Kigambibwa nti abaana bano babadde tebakyagenda na ku ssomero era ng'ab'ebyobulamu babagyeyo ku byalo gye babadde ekyekivule n'eyisengero bwe babadde bayitaayita okulambula ku balwadde.
Twayagana amaka nga amaka 343 nga ago galina obuzibu obw'enfunza obwo.
Kyokka abasawo era batutegeezezza nti newankubadde nga abalwadde bano babaleese wano kye baakozeeko kwe kugezaako okubatundula envunza kyokka ate eri eddagala mu kalwaliro kano tebalirina. Kya mukisa mu bintu wabula abantu abamu embeera y'envunza zino bazikwataganya na byaddogo ng'omu ku balwadde bano eyaleeteddwa wano.
Edange era ntunulayo dona tiidi ekivaaku oba bweroge tiidi oba biki tiidi.
Akulira ebyobulamu ku kyalo agamba nti mu kulawuna kwabwe baakizuula nti envunza zikyegirisiza mu bitundu bino ng'ekigotta entula. Bano era bagamba nti eyo mu byalo bakyetaaga okusomesebwa okw'amaanyi ennyo nti envunza tezirina we zikwataganira na ddogo.
Ate bo abakozi ba kampuni ya Rift Valley Railways kyaddaaki basazeewo okuyimiriza kegugungo kaabwe ke babaddeko okumala ennaku 3. Ku Lwokuna lwa Ssabbiiti ewedde abakozi basawansa ebikola nga banenya bakama baabwe okubaako bakozi bannaabwe be baakwata ku nkoona kyokka nga tebabakombeza wadde n'akanuso. Embeera eno yawaliriza minisitule y'abakozi ko abakulu okuva mu kibiina ekirwanira eddembe ly'abakozi kiwunatu okuyingira mu nsonga eno era gye biggweredde nga baliko bye bakkiriziganyizaako olwo akedimo ne kasobola okuba nga kakomekkerezebwa.
Mu mwaka gwa 2005 kampuni ya Rift Valley Railways yawangula tenda ey'okuddukanya emirimu gy'eggaali y'omukka okuva ku Uganda Railways nga bwe yali eyitibwa. RVR yali yakuddabulula entambula y'eggaali mawanga okuli Uganda, Kenya, kyokka mu mwaka gwa 2012 kampuni eno yafuna obuzibu bw'ensimbi era mu kafubo okuddabulula ebyenfuna byayo yasalawo okubaako abamu ku bakozi beewummuza. Abakozi 10 bagambibwa okuba nti kati be baakagobwa kyokka nga bano tebaweebwa kasiimo kaabwe ekintu ekitasanyudde bannaabwe era gye biggweredde nga basuddewo ebikola. Okuva ku Lwokuna lwa Ssabbiiti ewedde abakozi babadde bakombye kwerima okutuusa bannaabwe nga baddiziddwa ku mirimu.
Kubanga abakozi balaba nti bannaabwe bagobebwa nga tebabawa nsimbi zonna ate babadde bagenderaawo ate nga agreement eri yagamba nti bo balina okusasulibwa bafune ssente zaabwe bo bagende.
Era balumiriza bakama baabo okwesuulayo gwa Naggamba okugonjoola ensonga zaabwe nga buli lwe bagezaako okubajjukiza babajuliza kitebe kya kampuni eno ekikulu ekisangibwa mu ggwanga lya Kenya.
N'ekirala bo babadde balaba nti ebintu byabwe naddala eby'omusaara ne bye baakanyako tebikwatibwako bulungi era baddayo ne bagenda ne mu kooti.
Embeera eno ewaliriza minisitule y'abakozi ebitongole ebigatta abakozi okuyingira mu nsonga zino okulaba nga wabaawo okukkanya wakati w'abakozi n'abakama baabwe. Wilson Owerenga Ssaabawandiisi wa Notu ategeezezza nti akafubo ke babadde bakkaanyiza nti ensonga z'abakozi zitunulwemu kyokka ne balabula abaddukanya kampuni ya Rift Valley Railways okuwa abakozi baabwe ekitiibwa.
Balina okufuna ssente zaabwe omwaka buli mwaka omwezi gumu gye bamaze okukola. Omuntu tagenderaawo nga talina ssente ze bamuwadde nga bamugobye ku mulimu.
Julius Senkandwa, NTV.
NTV ku ssaawa emu ate tukyagenderera mu maaso wabula tugenda kusooka tube nga tuwumulamu katono ddala mu kudda tugenda kutuusaako amawulire amalala mangi gotasaanye kubeera ng'osobwanga mulimu ne bino. Mbira naye na buli kati tebazirabangako. Obulwadde bw'obwongo abakugu bannyonnyodde lwaki abantu abamu bawulira obulumi kyokka nga si balwadde, abalala basanyuka oba okunyiiga ekiba kisukkiridde.
Bwana Yesu akugamba akomawo ddi.
Teekateekanga omulimu gwe bweru.
2AA comes your way at 10 p.m. hosted by the most high-rated hosts, Frank.
Bawala bagamba tishe twagala okufumbirwa naye baggaaya abo tebali serious.
We're confident this will be a smooth ride into our English news bulletin.
Naye mbalayirire your candidates for Hague.
Katukomewo tano.
NTV ku ssaawa emu ate kulikayo mu kumulamu okwera ke tugende mu maaso. Ab'obuyize Mubende bayise olukiiko okubaganya ebirowoozo ku butya bwe bayinza okunyweza ebyokwerinda mu kitundu. Muno ab'ebyokwerinda bwe basinzidde ne bawa ebiragiro okwaza buli muntu ayingira mu kifo ky'olukale ko n'okuddamu okwaza abasaabaze abava mu bbaasi ne bagenda okugula emisito ne gonja ne bannaabwe ate yabakyamako mu bwa mugwanya.
Mu lukiiko abatuuze bategeezezza poliisi nti abava mu bbaasi eziri ku lugendo tebaazibwa nga baddamu okuyingira yadde nga kati mu bbaasi mubeeramu abasirikale.
Naye mu kudda tolabako omusirikale agamba nti katuddemu tucekinga abantu bano kubanga omuntu ayinza okubanga eri bamulemesezza e Kampala najja ayingirira wano e Mubende n'ebintu.
Mu bifo ebirala eby'okusaako essira mulimu amabaala, wooteeri, ebiduula n'amasundiro g'amafuta. Abaddukanya ebifo bya lukale bagamba nti abasirikale abali mu leeya emirundi mingi beebalamu okukeberwa naddala abo abalina basitoola ekintu abatujjwemu bayinza okuyita ne bakola obulumbaganyi.
The rule is one, you are armed, you don't enter. You want to enter, know where to keep your arm. You say you want to use the police station.
Poliisi etegeezezza nti egenda kwongera okunyweza ebyokwerinda naddala ng'eziba emiwatwa gyonna ko n'okulaba nga wakuŋŋaanirwa abantu bonna wabeerawo obukuumi obugwanidde.
Ate mu bbanga ttono abantu abasoba mu 1,200 bandigwa ku buzibu bw'ebirwadde nga kolera n'ebyali bigwa ate mu kkowe eryo olw'okubulwa akayumba akakyamirwamu kwonna mu kitundu kyabwe. Abali ku Kabaate ba ku mwalo gw'e Nakalanga mu ggombolola y'e Bukatube mu disitulikiti y'e Mayuge. Kigambibwa nti okumala emyaka egisoba mu 10 bukya abantu bano basenga kuno bangi ku bo ate empitambi bakanyuga mu nnyanja ate bwe mumala ne basena otuzzi otw'okunywa.
Omwalo Nakalanga gusangibwa ku nnyanja Nalubaale mu ggombolola y'e Bukatule mu disitulikiti y'e Mayuge era ng'abantu abasinga okubeerako bavubi. Kigambibwa nti mu mwaka gwa 2021 omukulembeze w'eggwanga Yoweri Museveni lwe yakyalako mu ggombolola y'ekityeerera yasalawo okuwa abantu bano abataalinako waabwe ettaka lino kwe bali wakati mu kuwakanyizibwa okw'amaanyi okuva mu kitongole ky'ebyebibira e Busoga.
Kuva ku olwo kutuuka lwaleero tufunangako kiwandiiko ekitukakasa nga kituufu bano tuli batuuze.
Oluvannyuma lw'emyaka 13 omwalo guno guliko abantu abasoba mu 1,200 era ng'eno y'embeera mwe guli kati. Ku bantu bonna abasula ku mwalo tekuli alina kaabuyonjo.
Toyi edda buli omu edda public kuli ku toyi ndala yonka yazimbibwa beach management unit.
Obukyafu buno bwonna buggukira mu nnyanja ate mwe basena amazzi ag'okunywa n'okweyambisa mirimu emirala awaka.
Amazzi ag'ennyanja gayononeka tetumanyi oba gajjamu biki oba bulwadde ki. Wogerezaako okuganywako oti kiba kikwetaagisa ate okudduka mu ddwaliro.
Ng'oggyeko obunyaga, amasomero, amalwaliro n'amazzi amayonjo byonna babiwulira nga mboozi era ng'abaana mu kitundu kino baabumba emmeeza ezeefaananyirizaako ez'omuzannyo gwa pool nga basiiba okwo nga beezannyira. Olw'obungi bw'abantu ettaka lizze likeewa era nga tebalina we balimira mmere. Abagezaako okwesenza ku bibira balimireko ekitongole ky'ebyebibira kyabasenzaako lutinga kkere.
Embeera gye tulimu gya buli ssaawa mugolole timuba wano ate nga ife abandi abaana tubazaaliire kuno.
Kaakati ekitongole kya Naush International kyevuddemu ne kibazimbira kaabuyonjo.
Ala tuliba toyi eno mugikozese bulungi eno toyi yaimwe tiyaife.
Wabula ndina isanu lingi ino n'abataka galala nenda tube galala tugemere galala toyi daife dino tudijemu nga tulina obwegendereza.
Newankubadde bano bawonya okunyolebwa ebirwadde ebiva ku bukyafu naye enjala ekyayinza okubeefuniramu akatebe kubanga tebakyalina we balimira.
Muyogeyoge bannaffe ate okufuna kaabuyonjo esoose mu kitundu. Waliwo omuntu lwaddusibwa mu ddwaliro ng'akaaba obulwadde oba obulumi kyokka n'asangibwa nga talina bulwadde bwonna. Kino abakugu mu ndwadde z'omutwe bagamba nti kiyinza okuba ng'omuntu anaatera okugwa eddalu era nga obulumi bumuli mu bwongo kyokka nga teri kimuluma kyonna. Tulambuludde ku kika ky'obulwadde buno na ngeri ki gy'oyinza okubwewala oba na ngeri ki ate gy'oyinza okuba ng'obufunamu.
Abajjanjabi bangi baggwamu amaanyi be batwala omulwadde waabwe mu ddwaliro ng'ataawa kyokka ne batamusangamu bulwadde bwonna. Abamu batandika n'okulowooza nti endwadde y'endoge era abamu ne bagenderawo ku ndago. Abasawo b'emitwe bagamba nti waliwo obulwadde bw'omutwe obuwuliza omuntu ng'omulwadde kyokka ng'omubiri gwe mulamu.
Kitandika oluusi nakuba nti omuntu abadde mulamu bulungi takyewulira mirembe awulira oba omutwe gumuluma awulira amasannyalaze mu mubiri olubuto lumuluma talina maanyi tayagala kulya.
Era abasawo abatakugusse mu bya mutwe bwe bakebera omulwadde oyo byakaaba tebatera kutegeera kizibu kya mulwadde.
Bagamba naye tunoonyeza kino na kino tetulina kye tulaba mpozi ogira olindako kati bwe balindako bigenda nga byeyongera teyeebaka takyayagala kukola tagenda ku mulimu bw'aba mwana musomi tayagala kugenda mu kibiina.
Embeera y'omutwe eyo y'emu ereetera omuntu okusanyuka ennyo n'ayitawo oba okuyongobera ennyo ekiyitiridde singa aba afunye amawulire agasanyusa oba ag'ennaku. Omusawo agamba nti kiva ku birungo ebireeta essanyu oba ennaku okuyitirira mu bwongo omuntu bw'atyo n'abanga alaluse.
N'atandika okuwulira nti ali mu mirembe emiyitirivu ennyo n'atandika okuyimba n'atandika okuzina n'atandika okulowooza ensi ye buli kimu kikye buli kimu yakifuga n'atandika n'okwewa ebintu by'abantu talina nti oba nze nannyini Serena nze nannyini Sheraton nze mugagga n'atandika n'okugaba ssente nga ye alaba ssente z'alina nnyingi nnyo.
Embeera eno esobola okulumba omuntu ku myaka gyonna era mu buli abantu abakulu 100 omu abeera alina ekizibu kino. Ye Jane Francis Nakasumba ekyamusanyusa ennyo ne kimutuusa n'okumulalusa kwe kumuwa amawulire nti yali agenda kufuuka sisita bwe yali ayisa ebibuuzo bye.
Era okukkakana nga sikyebaka nga byenjogera tebikyakwatagana era okukkakana nga bantutte emulago era olwantuusa emulago nga bampeereza butabika.
Abalwadde abasinga ab'ekika kino balagajjalirwa era ne bonoonekera ddala so nga bw'abeera ayanguyiddwa era n'ajjanjabibwa atereera bulungi n'oluusi okugenda mu maaso n'emirimu gyabwe. kyokka okuva olwo azze yeegendereza n'okumira eddagala era kati yabudaabuda abalwadde b'emitwe butabika naddala abo abatayagala kumira ddagala era nga mutunzi wa gomasi.
Nina abantu bangi nnyo abobuvunaanyizibwa beetungira gomasi bangi.
Irene Namyalo, NTV.
Kale webale nnyo Irene Namyalo. Waliwo omuzannyo gw'okuvuga obugaali muzannyo munyuvu era nga Uganda tusinzidde oba tufunvubidde. Wabaddewo empaka ezibaddewo olwaliro ne tugenda kubanga tuziraba mu kalimero kaffe ate ak'ebyemizannyo tova ku NTV kusa. NTV kusawe mukulikayo ate mukumulako katika na kanyemero ka byamizannyo wetwogera omupiira gwa World Cup oba ekikopo omupiira gw'ekikopo ky'ensi yonna gugendera ddala mu maaso nga Netherlands eri ne Mexico wabula nga tewali ate yalingedde katimba kamune. Omupiira guno guli mu kitundu ekisooka era nga tugenda kuba nga tujja kuba nga tukuwa ebinaabirawo mu maaso awo tova ku NTV. Ate nga tuvuddeyo David Matovo abadde amaze ebbanga erisukka mu myaka ebiri nga kaligiddwa obutetaba mu mpaka za kuvuga bugaali ate yamaze naddamu okwetaba mu mpaka zino olwaleero. Empaka zino era zibadde za kugezesa abavuzi ba Uganda bagenda okuba nga beetaba mu mpaka za Commonwealth okulaba bwe batuuse na butyabo beetegese okuba nga basobola okulunda Uganda nga empaka zigenda kubeera mu ggwanga era Scotland. Sam Mpoza yalina ebisingawo ku ggulire lino ery'okuvuga obugaali.
Empaka zino ezibadde ez'okwetooloola olubiri lw'Emmengo okumala emirundi 30 zibaddeko obuwanvu bwa kilomita 15. Zino z'empaka ez'omulundi ogw'omunaana ku kalenda y'omuzannyo gw'eggaali omwaka guno. Ziwanguddwa Matovu David avugiddewo essaawa 2 n'obutikitiki 5. Matovu addiridwa Sebastian Kigongo ate Lawrence Kyagulanyi n'akwata ekyokusatu. Martin Kateregga yabadde owookuna ate Leon Matovu n'akwata ekyokutaano. Abategesi b'empaka zino bagamba nti ziyambye abavuzi b'eggwanga abagenda mu mpaka za Commonwealth omwezi ogujja okwongera okuzeetegekera.
Ekimu ku kigendererwa kw'empaka zino kwe kwongera okunyweza n'okwongera okutweyininga kw'abo be tunaaba nabo mu Commonwealth. Wadde nga ttiimu yange teyaweze gye nali njagala olw'essente naye nga nsuubidde nti abamu ku bavudde Congo n'abali muno ate ng'olwaleero kirabika nti ne bamusaayi muto be bakyasinza okukola obulungi kitegeeza waliwo okwongera ku mutindo gw'eggaali mu Uganda.
Abamu ku bavuzi bano babadde bakava e Congo okwetaba mu mpaka z'amawanga ga Africa. Uganda yakukiikirirwa abavuzi b'eggaali 2 mu mpaka za Commonwealth ezigenda okubeera mu ggwanga lya Scotland. Sam Mpoza, NTV.
NTV kusawemu atali kutambulire ate akusibira ya menfo. Entanda yange joli ya kukeera ku mulimu olunaku olw'enkya. Bw'oba ku mulimu ate wewale okukekera nga omukadasi makandi. Ate manya nti bwe bukyasibe buziba biyinza okugaana okuteera ku makya ate olw'eggulo ne bitereera. Nze Patrick Mukasa nkwagaliza birungi byerere sula bulungi weeraba.
NTV, turning on your world.
Sometimes children have amazing ideas, but they can lead to tough stains. And for tough stains, there's new Omo Fast Action. Its super fast cleaning technology removes stains fast. New Omo, no one removes tough stains faster.
Program Guide is brought to you by Jessa Smooth Yogurt. Program Guide.
Jessa Smooth Yogurt comes in various flavors like vanilla, strawberry and banana. Jessa Farm Dairy. Always trusted, always delicious.
Today's highlight with
Nice and Lovely Body Lotion.
Okay, to go first.
Okay, Mama. Okay, sit.
Mommy. We've got a common enemy. That enemy is Bataka.
I would rather work with Bataka to stop you.
What?
Listen, what do you really want?
Baby, I already told you what I want. I want you. I want you back. I'm back.
You bring out the best in me.
New and improved Nice and Lovely Body Lotion. The 24-hour skin moisturizer that's your skin's best friend.
The best in me.
Are you and I ever gonna have a chance to be sisters?
You want the baby to have my name?
Would that be okay?
Son, I'm happy you came. Yes, especially since I thought you were shunning all things Newman. I have my own reasons for showing up.
What did you say about him?
I'm sorry, attempted rape.
Okay, look, whatever you think you know about him, you don't know his heart.
If there is a way to make me feel more miserable, you will instinctively find it.
You gave up the one woman you loved, and now you're having a hard time figuring out how to move on?
I can't imagine who would want to hurt a good man like you.
Okay, you know what? I don't need you telling me how to feel about Lily.
Are you pregnant? No. Then why are you trying to alienate Tyler?
Has something happened between the two of you? Are you afraid that I'm gonna do something to ruin your marriage, or that you will?
Why don't we have a party? I'll bring Nikki and bring your siblings. How's that?
Now, what are you gonna do? You gonna blackmail them this time, or are you gonna bribe them?
Looks like Mommy's not the only one who knows how to make up a story.
And the change of government won't stop a thing. I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here. What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week? I say they're shortly. Me, I'd be looking to sell. At what price? More. Much, much more. I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
The only way to do exactly what you're supposed to do, especially if you're looking at great work, is to love what you do. If you haven't yet found it, well, keep looking. Don't settle for nothing less. Welcome to Morning at NTV, your Monday edition. And yes, Monday can be quite a drag. Most of you are back from the weekend, but make sure when you get to work, your employers are happy with the result. Mabel Kebirunji, Simon Kasete, Joel Senyonyi are all ready to guarantee you a phenomenal week ahead. To make sure it happens, let's start with the question of the day. Well, feel free to engage us on social media using Facebook Morning at NTV and of course our Twitter handle at Morning at NTV. You can tag me at MBGold2, tag Mabel at Mebkeb, tag Joel at Joel Senyonyi and Simon Kasete at Kasete. Of course, don't forget at NTV Uganda. You can also use our SMS platform 6565. Now, Mabel, welcome back from the weekend. And of course, the World Cup continues to shock us. And what a shock it was for Mexico. How was your weekend?
Thank you very much, Brian. I'd like to start by saying I actually love what I do. I'm very fortunate to do what I do, and I do not take it for granted. My weekend was great. Obviously, I don't think it is such a shocker that Mexico came out. According to Isma, during the week, I think it was even a fluke that they got as far as they did. But I must say my heart indeed went out to the team that Brazil beat. It has just jumped out of my head. Chile. Yes, Chile. My heart actually went out to Chile. Well, a very good morning and welcome to Morning at NTV this 30th day of June 2014. We'll start with the news. An ex-convict who was on death row and was recently released after serving 14 years in jail on charges of aggravated robbery has vowed to expose torture in Uganda's prisons. Yahaya Lukwago claims he's lucky to be alive after two of his colleagues were tortured to death in his presence at Kirinya Prison's fortress in Jinja. He says the two were buried discreetly without the knowledge of their relatives. But the prison's publicist, Frank Baine, says he is not aware of this incident but has promised that a probe will unravel the truth.
43-year-old Yahaya Lukwago was sentenced to death in December 2003 for aggravated robbery, which occurred at Nkoma in Mbale in 2000. He claims his only crime was to drive robbers in his special hire cab. However, after the Susan Kigura verdict in the Supreme Court, which ruled that the death sentence is not mandatory, Yahaya walked to his freedom on the 20th this month, escaping the news of the hangman. Upon his release, Yahaya has opened the lid of the harrowing conditions that transpires behind the raised curtain walls. For the last 14 years, he has been incarcerated. All he recalls are beatings and wants to seek justice for the torture he was subjected to. He was first tortured in Luzira maximum prisons and was later transferred to Kirinya dungeons in Jinja. Kirinya prisons, which is perched on the top of a hill overlooking the pale blue waters of Lake Victoria, according to Yahaya, is Uganda's Guantanamo Bay. Yahaya recalls an incident where prisoners protested the health condition of their colleague who was rotting away without medical treatment. He was This is what then sparked the torment that the prisoners would be subjected to 45 days, which snuffed out of the lives of his two colleagues in his presence. He claims the two were discreetly buried at prison's land without informing their relatives. Barely a year before his release, the relatives of one of the victims who was tortured to death came to visit, but prisoners feared to speak out.
So abo abantu ne baddayo nga tebafunye ki? Tebafunye muntu waabwe. Naye ng'omuntu yafa bamuziika Gologosa.
The prison's publicist Frank Kabaine says he is not aware of such an incident, but promised that it will be probed.
It's a very wild allegation, I must say. I am not in the know of a riot of such a magnitude. At the time, the riot that I know in Jinja happened, they refused to enter the ward. And for us, when we refused to enter the ward, that's nothing but a riot. And they were throwing whatever they had at the staff. So eventually we called reinforcement and those people were forced inside. Unfortunately, in the process, our principal officer was injured. He was treated, but in the long run, he also died. And in that scuffle, I don't remember any prisoner dying.
Yahya says another 7 prisoners died as a result of the torture they suffered.
Era okukakana bagenze bafaako omu enamba eweze mwenda.
A human rights lawyer, Ladislas Lwakafuze, who says he will petition the court on behalf of his client, says prison authorities and the judiciary should order for an inquiry into the incident.
This story needs to be investigated because my client claims that at least he saw 2 people die in his presence out of torture in prison. Now, this story should not be taken lightly. It needs investigation, and the culprits should be brought to book.
Nobody is above the law. So if such an incident happened, it's still not too late. It can be investigated, and the redress can be formed.
This is not the first time that Kenya prison has come under the spotlight. This man was also tortured in prisons. Jingo Francis, NTV.
Very sad there. China's foray in Africa continues to shape a scramble on the resource-rich African continent alongside other players in the West. As a result of China's reluctance to tinker with politics in Africa and its less restrictive donor aid policies, it has been able to win over the hearts of Africa, including Uganda. The courtship between Uganda and China has come with benefits, millions of dollars in aid and tangible infrastructural development. So what is underpinning Chinese obsession with Africa? Solomon Seranja has the answer in this report.
Backed with a roaring economy which in the last decade grew by double-digit figures, China continues to flex its muscles in Africa. In 2009, China, the second largest economy in the world, surpassed the US as Africa's largest trading partner. Uganda has since benefited immensely from this courtship through grants, interest-free loans, concessional loans, and infrastructure development. Take, for example, the Chinese government funded the construction of the Office of the President at a cost of $27 million, the Ministry of Finance at $25 million, the Nelson Mandela National Stadium at a cost of $36 million, the China-Uganda Friendship Hospital in Nagulu at a cost of $6 million, and the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Most of these projects are funded by grants, which do not compel Uganda to pay back the funds. China further cancelled all debts Uganda owed before 2005, amounting to $30 million.
Now we are in a better economic position. We can do a lot to help our Ugandan and African brothers and sisters to live a good life. That is very simple.
As opposed to some aid that comes with stringent conditions, China's policy not to rattle the feathers of African strongmen has won its admiration.
We have a trust because we know you have enough wisdom to solve all these kind of problems. You don't need other people to tell you how to do.
So, why does China continue to reward Africa with such generosity? Is it seeking to fish in the troubled waters just like the West in what some scholars have referred to as a subtle recolonization scheme?
The Chinese are not just making a verbal statement, they are making a serious economic statement. They have more reserves than the US has. In fact, the US is quoting China for those monies. Europe, especially Britain, is quoting China for those monies to invest in the economy. So we in Africa, if we don't deal with China, we shall be losing out because China has more money than any of these countries around.
Already, there is a reward. Chinese firms have been awarded huge construction contracts, like the construction of the Kampala-NTV Expressway at $350 million. The China National Offshore Oil Corporation was granted the first production license, and the construction of the $1.5 billion Karuma Dam.
Two other Chinese companies, Jezuba and CWE, will similarly take on Ayago, which is downstream here, and Isimba, according to the understanding you reached with the Chinese side.
All these projects will be funded by concessional loans from Chinese banks. But why do Chinese firms have an upper hand in the bid?
There are areas where the Chinese capital, Chinese companies or Chinese banks have already committed capital. They give you money in advance, and if it is their money, they like to take the contract. That's what has been happening in some of these contracts, like Karuma. The Chinese government guaranteed Chinese banks to give Uganda over $1 billion. So that can influence whether the Chinese companies take the contract or not, and that's, I think, what has happened in some of the contracts.
China also offers better terms for its loans compared to the international institutes like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank.
As much as we say they don't have conditionalities around human rights, they have their own conditionalities. And these conditionalities are tied to, say, 50% of the products must come from China. A number of laborers must come from China. And it's not surprising that we have over 3,000 Chinese in Uganda. So you find that they have that tiredness of their projects.
In turn, many Chinese nationals continue to flock Uganda. The Uganda Investments Authority records show that more than 360 registered business companies with a capital investment of $1.1 billion belong to Chinese nationals. Trade between the two partner states is loop-sided, as China's exports to Uganda are worth $524 million, while Uganda exports goods worth $72 million to China.
You go home and you look around your house and you ask yourself what is Chinese and what isn't. What would you find as the biggest share? And for me, that's the biggest concern, because every time I enter a restaurant, I find that the toothpicks I'm using are Chinese. We have a lot of timber here. We have a project of toothpicks that has stalled with the Industrial Research Institute.
China has, however, silenced its critics by granting zero tariffs on 95% of the Ugandan products that enter the Chinese market. Despite this, a lot of fake goods, especially from China, have continued to enter the market.
The Chinese are exporting more than we do. They are making investments in Uganda. We are not making the investments. So, and all those have economic implications, because for us to remain a net importer, that means we leave our exchange rate vulnerable, because we keep demanding the foreign exchange for our trade.
China continues to make inroads in the resource-rich Africa, all the way from the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa to the Rabat in North Africa. Solomon Serwanja, NTV.
You're watching Morning at NTV. We now cross over to the gentleman on the other side of the building to find out what's making news in the papers. Good morning, Simon. I hope you're having a happy Monday. How was your weekend?
Yes, a very good morning, Mabel. Indeed, it's a wonderful Monday morning. The weekend was, I would say, comme ci, comme ça, but of course, good, and enjoyed some bit of networking at a golf ceremony in Jinja, of course, as a preamble to our next one on the 12th of July, which will be the ESCOM Open. So clearly it was a nice weekend, without a doubt. And of course, we are all ready and fresh to start your week by, of course, telling you what's making it to the headlines in today's newspapers. We have with us the Daily Monitor, the Tri-Weekly Observer, and the Daily Red Pepper, which we'll be reviewing shortly after this. Waking up to screaming doomsday naysaying news saying that our only international airport in Uganda, Entebbe, that is has not been blown away, but the Inspector General of Police is saying that this airport of ours is at the mercy of terrorists. In other words, the security precautions there do not meet up to the challenge of detecting modern terrorism. And in fact, he gave an example that they are not only unable to detect later day explosives, but also recently an intruder did walk up to a military plane undetected. It's this headline in the Daily Monitor this morning, be reviewed to you by myself, Simon Kasiate, and my two other musketeers, Joel and Brian. Good morning once again.
Morning.
With such a screaming headline, is it good morning anyway?
I don't know. The lizard here is saying if the IGP is crying foul, is he not giving them, terrorists, a go-ahead to strike? Look, I heard the IGP saying he's going to lead a demonstration of police officers. They're going to picket, you know, as they demonstrate this. I don't know who he will write to get permission to demonstrate. But look, it is a worrisome issue. I think we need to do a lot about it. You know, I don't know. You have guests coming in from ESCOM. If once I'm talking about ESCOM.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I don't know what comments they make about NTV, but you know, for many a person that especially comes in here for the first time, they think this is one of those tiny, you know, airports because there's many
airstrip.
There you have it, and I think we need to do a lot more about that our airport.
My argument is that for as long as not even just the airport, for even hotels or shopping malls, as long as you have a security network or agencies or officers that literally have a celebrity moment every time they see a Muzungu or a foreigner, we are in trouble.
They're smitten.
We're in trouble. And there was once a scenario, I was walking into Uchumi, two ladies enter, a white lady and a Ugandan, and the white lady was not checked. So the Ugandan got concerned and asked, do you know that if we were bombed right now, you'd also die with the white lady too?
It's true. And,
so, as long as our security officers are seeing literally Jesus every time they see a foreigner, we are dead.
And not just Bazungu. A few times you go somewhere with these our suits, and for some reason people get so smitten, you know.
Yeah.
So they frisk seriously these guys in jeans, and you know, and then they let me pass. At some point I was like, but look, actually the fact that I even have a jacket on, the more reason I can hide explosives here.
Inside.
Well, I'm sure you've not heard of the old adage of you are addressed the way you are dressed. So clearly sometimes your dress code determines how you're going to be frisked. But it's not only in Entebbe International Airport that does lack security measures to deter terrorism. Looks like our biggest university as well, Makerere University, according to page 7 of the Daily Monitor, the staff there are decrying the fact that the university does not have enough security to deter terrorism. Now, let's not forget that both institutions, Makerere University has a full-fledged police station there headed by someone not below the rank of an AIP. Entebbe has got airport police and all these other police outfits out there. And when Kaihura decrees the fact that there's not enough security modus at the airport, isn't that in one way, one, a show that he's been terrorized, two, that he is actually incompetent as the head of police, and that is a vote of no confidence on his part?
I think it's an indictment on the police force. You talk about Makerere.
So who is he appealing to?
There is a time Makerere students were complaining when taxis were banned and borders from entering into the university, apparently for security reasons. For some reason, they imagine that private cars cannot carry explosives, so those are let in and they are checked a bit, yeah? But then the students who walk through campus, you know, through the gates, no car, no border, and that kind of thing, they're not frisked.
The male students who walk, because for the most part, you with private cars drop off the female students.
Either way, as long as you are walking into the...
But Makerere is
those
too
ones are
open.
not frisked. You
Makerere
know,
is too open. They tried to build a fence, which I think fell after 2 months of its construction.
I saw that fence.
But you can access
Makerere
Makerere through Makerere College, Full Gospel. You can access Makerere through Chikumi there in Kavule. You can access... Makerere is just too open.
Well, we also know that the only trouble is not being fomented at the university or airports. We have got boxers. Kampala Boxing Club has been sold, and we saw a demonstration of boxers outside Kafumbe Mukasa, on Kafumbe Mukasa Road. Now, I am imagining a demonstration led by boxers, and someone claims that such a demonstration will be a peaceful demonstration. And I'm asking many questions, but it is in here. Really, why would they sell the... Anyway, Kampala issues, I will never debate them to core and understand the level of selfishness. You sit here, Ugandans are nice people. These poor boxers, poor them have, if you look at the gym itself, the way it was in Nachivu, dilapidated, broken down, they have car rims as dumbbells,
for punching back.
You know that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that is not even bad enough. Now they have sold it for some guys start selling in technophones. And the demonstrators who are boxers are there, helpless and crying to whoever cares.
There's one boxer I'm looking at here who is a very well-built man. Such a guy, you either get out of his way or you become part of the road. I wish the police force well, those that will go to clamp them down.
But you see, the bigger picture should be us being able to create places like this in the city.
I think we should. We need to develop
sports
talent.
facilities, because now we don't have.
But you see,
one day we also...
my argument has been, all the things were here. And for the most part, not even built by us. Muzungu came here, you say it's a celebrity moment. I think they should even allow that. I have been to district headquarters which were built by colonialists here. We have been independent for 52 years this year, if my math is anything to go by. And all we have done is dilapidate these structures. We have not been able to maintain them.
Or even put up new ones.
Why even put up new ones when they're already existing ones that you can still maintain? But this country is all about destroying, and then you destroy as if to rebuild. For me, I can tell you, we have a problem.
Talking about destruction, there was an inferno at Namungona. Kampala City is a fuel bomb. Somebody here said.
Well, you remember that time when they went to borders went to siphon fuel off a truck on the bypass, fuel tanker, and it's exploded. So we are now commemorating an anniversary of that, and which I still maintain. Even then, it clearly there is a little sympathy you have for such people.
Yeah, of course, you want to be careful. You don't sound callous, but we don't learn. I get your point.
They were involved in theft gone bad, and I think what came their way was something that they called to themselves. Yeah, absolutely.
In the Observer this morning, Buganda wants oil money share. And clearly, the battle for who is in Kampala, this one is more clear this time. But Buganda says because it's going to have a few installations like the stores for oil, the storage facility for oil, and the pipeline. We also need some of the royalties coming from the oil.
I don't know. You've been calling us to exercise restraint on commenting on some issues. That issue, I will not comment.
Even me, I will not comment.
You don't want your banana plantation to be cut down.
No, not that I will
not comment.
Only that, anyway, me. So what now? They are demanding or begging. I'm just asking. Is that Buganda wants oil money share? Is it a demand or it's a beg?
The oil storage facility is going to be installed in Buganda.
Yeah, how about the people now in Kumi, people in Gulu? They might say this oil is in Uganda, a country to which we belong. Even though, you know, with all this, divisionism and marginalization, there's a time Gulu wanted to have a plebiscite of sorts, so that they determined that, look, you don't care about us as Ugandans, let us split. You remain on your own, we become a country of ours. I think Norbert Mao was in the mix of that at some point. Look, we should care about the entire Uganda.
Talking about which, in the red paper this morning, we are waking after a headline of an interesting one-tribe scenario. Rugunda, you know his tribe. Mutebire, you know his other tribe. Bax Amama, you know his tribe. Tuust Museveni, you know his tribe. It's a screaming headline in the red paper this morning.
Okay, a tribe mate of the Rugundas makes the quote of the day here. Minister Kahinda Utafire, you actually they are tribe mate to this guy.
Please,
this is what Kahinda Utafire
wait a minute, let's correct it.
The
Honorable Kahinda Utafire is not a Muchiga by tribe.
He's not like you people, eh? All right,
he may share a few traits with that tribe. Brutal honesty and all that.
Brutal
honesty.
The honesty. Okay. Here's what he says. You talk about, voters' demands for finances and stuff. Some wanted to pay school fees for their children as if you were there when they were producing the children. This is coming back to hound these people. There's a time politicians were running around this country telling people, you know what, produce a lot more so that you can have a lot more voters. You remember that? I don't know what they were smoking back then, but it is eating them.
But you see, I told you guys on this show, and I'm glad Chris Obore reiterated that last night, said we have a government that has conditioned people to make them think that it will take care of them. So guys are having more children without, even if I don't have a job, let me have kids because I want to have a government. They will take care of them. So what do you do?
But also the kind of promises that, these MPs and other political leaders bank on as they get to power, the promises they make, They're stupendous. So you would not blame sometimes the voters for coming back to say, okay, you promised us a school. If you don't produce a school, then give us school fees, you know, and that kind of thing. Not that it's right, but look, either way.
If you are watching us and you're Ugandan and you expect that the government is going to put food on your table,
you're going to wait a long time.
That you are going to go and engage in the pleasant exercise of making children, expecting government to go through the displeasant exercise of looking after them for you. If you think government is going to clothe you, put a roof over your shelter. This is just all I can give you as a piece of advice. Woe unto you.
All right. Toro gets 5.2 billion shillings for roads. Someone the other day was telling me that these districts have already passed their budgets before the official budget was read, and no one kind of cares how much they have to spend. At the end of the financial year, they return lots of money. So is it a budgeting problem? Is the money sent late to them?
I think it's a mix.
In Kenya, it was the same thing.
Yeah, because you see
districts are returning more than 1 billion Kenyan shillings.
They do collect local revenues, yeah, and if districts are organized, if there's no rapacity, they can put to good use this money that they collect, even before government money does come. But it's the same old way of doing things at central government and at district level. Everybody wants to eat, like we say it colloquially. So what do you expect at the end of the day?
Well, we're also waking up some news of a suspected rebel attack somewhere in western Uganda in the district of Chegegwa. And we are now being told that it possibly could be part of the Allied Democratic Forces. It's in the Daily Monitor and in the Red Pepper this morning. As the Red Pepper says, inside Toro's rebels. And here we have it. A church was attacked and scores of people are injured.
Now, as we break it down here a little bit, society accolades, Nation Media sweeps radio and TV awards. We got how many? Was it 12 or 13 awards?
I think about 15 goals.
Maybe you may need to explain further to our listeners, our viewers, who may not possibly understand what these awards were. Are we talking about the Grammys? Are we talking about the Oscars? What awards are these?
They are like the Grammys of Uganda, really. But I think... Again?
Are they?
Kind of.
I have lots of things to say about
I'm sorry, I didn't follow that. So did we on this panel morning at NTV get anything, even a mention for that matter?
Well, I represented you guys.
Thank you very much. So we have an accolade.
How much did you eat? On our behalf too, you are saying?
No, did we get any award, Abraham?
No, we didn't get any award.
I can understand.
Yeah.
5 months down the road, that has possibly not been registered to compete with guys who've been here for 12 years or something like that. I think we need to pull up ourselves. Sorry, it's good to know that there is an infinite quest to get better every morning.
Yeah.
In healthy living
tells you
this
that
morning,
you don't listen.
I've told you to stop bastardizing this debate by bringing in
your friend Joseph Okito. You guys should go for coffee. I can superintend over it just so there's no exchange.
You always look out for an opportunity for me to spend some esco bucks. Healthy living this morning. Is it healthy to live with your pets in the same house? Now, here you have it. Many of you are in the business of keeping with rats, cats, dogs, fleas, cockroaches, all of them regarded as pets. Clearly from Healthy Living this morning, you may need to do away with living with this kind of, what? Is it flora or fauna?
For some people, it's just their housemates. They don't seem to have a choice, you know, but there are these that have been domesticated, dogs and the like. In other parts of this country, it is inevitable. I think it's where? Western Uganda or something, you know, people are afraid their domestic animals, cows and goats are being stolen every night.
So you live with a cow in the house?
In the bedroom, you know, because for most of them, they're single rooms, you know. And in the middle of the night, they do literally everything and anything. It's a tight one, but perhaps we need to... In Singapore, when that guy Lee Kuan Yew was putting that place in shape, he built interesting, nice flats, and was getting people out of their ramshackle buildings and putting them in these flats, and you know, but they would still climb these places with their goats and that kind of thing. It took a while for the mentality to change. So for some, maybe it is a mentality. I don't know.
What more do we have in the Observer this morning?
In the Observer, school owners must pay tax, finance insists. And of course, this debate has been going on for a long time, where private schools have been asked to pay taxes. And most people are saying they are going to hurt their operation. I still do not understand that, because a private school will levy any amount of school fees at once. Maybe the debate should be about setting a minimum or maximum amount of money we should pay, not taxes.
That's hard. That's hard. It's just like saying that all Ugandans are going to earn are going to pay a uniform amount of tax. We earn differently, so schools, you know, they earn differently.
Isn't it the same thing?
They're saying it should be as profit.
Isn't it the same thing like minimum wage? Why can't
Which
you
is still
say
hard
a
also.
school that charges more than 3 million shillings? You know.
But Brian, come on, let's not be oblivious to realities here. Here at the Serena Hotel, how much is a beer?
It's, I think, 8,000. Is it?
Do you know you're guessing?
You are guessing.
I'm just guessing.
Okay, let's
Coffee
even
is
forget.
9,000.
Let's say 8,000 shillings a beer. The same beer at my watering hole on the Winton is how much?
It's 2,000.
3,500. There is a place where you'll find the same beer, even a cooler, served by a better looking person, going at 2,500. Why do these prices vary of the same commodity? It is the class and caliber of people that you don't expect that the doors of Serena will be open to everybody. They would love to, but there must be some kind of class segregation placed in place by a price. Let us not lie to viewers and think that we care so much for this humanity that we are all the same. There must be a service for different people. Munondo, this wonderful charcoal grey suit of yours, people can get it for any price. I can find it Kampala Road. I'll find it at Winner Classic at different price. I can even pick it off a hawker. Then you found it downtown at possibly a 50th of the same price you find at Winner Classic. But at the end of the day, the price segregation is what places people differently. There are those who want to take their children to schools of 1 million. There are those who believe that if a school is levying 500,000 shillings as school fees, that school is not up to the task. Then there are those who would be yearning to get a school that will accommodate their children for free.
So now, my
problem is we are in an open economy. Government has no business capping on what prices are there. Otherwise, next time you say government should now say the price of sugar across all spectra should be the same amount of money.
So then why is there a problem when government says it's going to tax private schools? Why?
Of course they are saying they
because you tax businesses.
There is
why
always a problem.
It's a business.
Listen, there is nowhere when taxes have ever been received with welcoming arms. People will always whinge. Because remember, school owners are not offering a service because they so care about the illiteracy in Uganda. They are out there to make money. That man of St. Lawrence School, does that mean that he loves this country so much that he believes nothing can happen without education?
Maybe he does. He's educated a good number of them, many of them free of charge, you know. But look, at the end of the day, many Ugandans' concern is we pay taxes, colossal sums. But what is service delivery? And I think we need to answer that, you know, even though I think we should pay taxes,
Joel,
we should be patriotic.
So if a school pays tax, doesn't it have to...
Joel, you may need to find out citizens of other places how they pay their taxes, and then you also look at the dictionary meaning of the word colossal. I can tell you, we have not started paying taxes in this country.
Well,
where at the end of the day, there are some places where folks, citizens, pay more than 2/3 of their income into tax.
But there's delivery of services.
But you see, they must, in the first place, acknowledge that they must pay that tax.
And you see,
so let's work on service delivery, but let's not whinge about the fact that we are paying taxes.
But our income does not enable us to pay the different...
this debate of whether income and tax and all that is like chicken and egg, which one came first. At the end of the day, you have one responsibility to the state as a citizen. Pay your taxes. Let the state also honor its...
And if it does not,
but what if
remove it and put other owners. Every 5 years you have a chance.
You had the every 5 years?
Every 5 years you have a chance to change leadership. Just like I can tell you without fear of contradiction, I am going to change the mayor of Nakawa. That one, come rain, come shine.
In your mind, by the way, you can register that the mayor is different. So I believe you.
I can tell you, that mayor of Nakawa, I've seen what other mayors are doing in Rubaga, where and other places. I'm asking myself, what's going on in that part of Nakawa where I am living?
Good, so you're becoming a good citizen. But you see, one of the reasons why we are now having to fork out a great deal, I hope you do. One of the reasons why we're having to fork out a great deal to pay taxes is because aid is being cut. And we're told here in the Daily Monitor, NGOs are losing donors over poor accountability.
Honestly, a mayor who cannot even perform like Munyagwa has spent much of his time walking around and being tear gas. But at least there's some work going on in Kawem. You, Karumba, what has he been doing?
At least Karumba should strike. But he returned the car, wasn't he responsible?
Returned the car after crashing it himself, yet he shouldn't have been driving it in the first place. A man is personally even indisciplined.
People of Nakawa, prepare, vote for Kasia.
No, I'm not saying I'm contesting for any electoral position, no way. But at least I want a better leader than Karumba in Nakawa, unless he changes in the next 2 years.
Okay.
And you know where my problem is? Robert Mugabe Road.
All right, the World Cup is still going on, and Africans are on the line this time. Nigeria will be tussling Germany.
Is it Nigeria or Algeria?
They had paper.
Who is playing Germany?
Nigeria.
All right, we also know that many of our folks are now, many of our Muslim folks are now in the holy month of Ramadan, including and not limited to the players of the Algerian team. And of course, there have been reports that the coach of Algeria has refused to answer to calls by pressmen asking who of his players is honoring and abiding by the dictates of Ramadan. That could possibly have an impact on the way they're playing today. That is news coming in on the international arena from the World Cup. But Mabel, who's standing by in the studio, what else is trending on the international scene? I'm told that in Iraq, the situation keeps getting worse. And now we are told that some parts of Iraq are going to be ruled under what is termed as a caliphate. What happened to import democracy into Iraq? And many other stories playing out in the international scene.
Thank you very much, Simon. Indeed, there's a picture here of the angry Algerian coach. He is not happy that people are asking which players are fasting. He says it is a private matter. And I'm not too sure what that means. But anyway, I don't know why he's angry anyway. But moving on to CNN, the page here, Iraq, things are actually getting worse. The ISIS establishes a caliphate. It changes its name. This extremist group has taken over a large part of the western and northern part of the country. They announced on Sunday the establishment of a caliphate. This is an Islamic state stretching across the region, and it is now going to be known as an Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, according to the rebels. Also on CNN is an interesting story. Zelda here, Lagrange, recalls her early years of working with Nelson Mandela. By the time she actually got the job as a typist way back when he had been released, she believes she was actually a racist because in her heart they knew Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. That was what she had been brought to know. And through the years, obviously her heart changed and she became his trusted confidant. On Sky News, again, the ISIS insurgents declare a new Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. The group is locked in intense fighting with Iraqi troops in Tikrit. Now, Prince Harry has been honored at a Chile disabled center here. The center is known as Friends of Jesus Center, and they look after disabled children. He brings his 3-day tour of the country to a close, joining in with some people for a boogie dance at the center. Now, on to Reuters. Google executives have visited Cuba for the first time to promote open internet. Apparently, Cuba, we all know it's a communist nation, communist state, has been very closed, and internet is mainly for the government and tourist hotels. But now they're looking at ways at how probably Cuba can be opened up, can have more open internet to its citizens. On the BBC Africa page, Oscar Pistorius, the trial is set to resume. Read more about that on that page. And we talked about Algeria. Now, really, Africans are just, I think, so annoying. We have, someone is reminding me saying, we Africans. Well, okay, we Africans. The Nigerians have been assured by President Goodluck Jonathan that they will actually get their money. Now, I don't even know why we're talking about this. We should be talking about Nigeria and France, the team they play later on. But no. We are talking about money. They want to be assured that they will actually get their bonuses for reaching the second round. And I'm thinking they should be concentrating on getting to the quarterfinals. I don't know if it's a problem with Africans, but anyway, something seems to be not right somewhere. And still on Sky page, we have Benjamin Netanyahu in an exclusive to Sky News saying everything must be done to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear bomb, especially with the crisis in Iraq. That's all we had for you. Morning at NTV continues after the short break.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
What's that?
That document.
Oh, that. Just some business.
I came to apologize. I have no right to interfere in your lives.
I've eliminated the only evidence that links me to Ivan Chinawa's death.
But you didn't have to kill another person.
It's not like I've got anything to hide, Nene. Just go ahead.
Victoria, how is it like to work for Miles Vilagazi?
Blood seemed to matter not.
Blood?
Yeah, blood.
I'm responsible for your father's death.
The 4th annual Dog Show and Bazaar is back. Come and be a part of man's best friend as they compete in tracking, agility and course maneuver, attack, dog handling. 6th of July at the China-Uganda Rugby Club grounds from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. 20,000 shillings for adults and 10,000 shillings for children. Can your dog manage any of these challenges? For all dog owners and lovers.
TV has never been this exciting.
I'm having so much fun.
We're revamping our programming just for you.
Fabulous things, so many things like
Your favorite local drama, Deception, will be airing at 8 p.m. The change was a result of your request.
Hola, come yesta, what's up, Kampala?
You can catch Sip Sip Samba for your chance to go to Brazil right after our well-packaged local bulletin.
Sip Sip Samba!
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Mulondo.
Watching this morning, we join Simon for the big story. Simon, whom are you talking to and what is the topic today?
So I look at you, I don't
A very good morning once again. We are now on this edition of Morning at NTV that is described as the big story, where we discuss in a bit of depth what is trending as our big story this morning. And today we're talking about human trafficking, not decrying the level at which it has proliferated the world, but looking at the solutions and what it is that governments or individuals have put in place to curb this ever-increasing human catastrophe. We'll be right back after this. Once again, we know that there is a new phenomenon in the world that has been described by many as modern-day slavery. But before you get down to that modern-day slavery, there has to be a movement of the most vital resource, which is the human resource. And that comes to what's been described, for the most part, as human trafficking, where they pick people from one part of the world to another part of the world, ostensibly for greener pastures and the promise of heaven on earth, only for them to find themselves in a total opposite of what was promised of them, where they face nothing but abuse and use. And for the most part, many of them even lose their lives. Human trafficking is not only a problem bedeviling Uganda as a nation, but it's bedeviling an entire continent of Africa and by extension, the entire globe. So this is a global phenomena that needs to be faced with global solutions. But this morning we'll hear from the coordinator of the Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force in the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Mr. Moses Binoga, who's joining us this morning. Good morning, Moses.
Morning, sir.
Without a doubt, the evil of human trafficking has been elaborated and elucidated for many Ugandans to understand the depth.
Yeah.
However, when a situation like this plays out on a global scale, and there are task forces like yours that are put in place, there is need for a solution that is bigger than the way those who perpetuate the problem do operate.
Yeah.
Kindly share with us, very quickly, what are some of those mitigating effects that you've put in place?
Yeah, there are some short-term and long-term mitigating effects. I'll begin with the short-term. The short-term, we've tried to intensify activities by the police to do the detection. Police working together with the other intelligence agencies like the ISO and ESO to do the detection and then the investigation is and arresting of a number of suspects. And actually, last year alone, over 28 suspects were taken to court, and most of the cases are still pending there. And then also there are...
And these suspects are out working as free men and women out of bail, or they are under incarceration?
Some are on bail, some others are on remand.
I don't want to be presumptuous, but I want to believe those who are on bail are more than those who are on remand, right?
No,
and it's not your problem, because yours is to arrest,
yes,
apprehend and prosecute.
Yes.
But then we see that the punitive sentence is not harsh enough to deter others who want to enter into that kind of otherwise lucrative but dangerous business.
Of course, some of them have benefited from the current
legal
framework, which is not yet fully developed, as I'll explain later. But at least a number of them have been incarcerated. They have been taken to court, and at least 3 of them were convicted last year. And this year we are expecting to have more convictions because there are many of them.
When you convict,
cases,
what are the penalties?
The penalties range from a certain period. There are some 2 people who are sentenced to 8 years imprisonment for trafficking, some 2 ladies to China and Malaysia for sex exploitation. And then there is another 2 people who were sentenced to 1 year or a fine. In fact, they paid a fine for attempting to traffic a young child from Uganda to Czech Republic.
Tell me something, Moses, here. When you say police has heightened its detection ability to detect people who are possibly going to or who are in the process of trafficking others, what exactly do you do? How do you detect these people? How can we hold that to a tangible...
Technically, there is a challenge. The law of trafficking in persons, you know, the way it is made, it's made in such that there should be a victim before some suspect can be held. Before you can prove that someone is a suspect of the crime. And the cases which have come up, first of all, through the sensitization, people have come up to report. And then when they report, the victims or those relatives who have victims or some people who have information about some victims report to the police. Police follows it up, and then they get these victims to testify their stories. Then we investigate backwards.
You work backwards.
And then get the suspects. So that is what has been going on. There has been a challenge, which is a misconception of information of saying so many people are sending people out. And why isn't police arresting them? Exporting labor, as of now,
is legal.
Is not illegal. Whether you have a license or not, it's not according to the current laws. And that is in the short term. And that's why in the long term, we are reviewing the laws. We are reviewing the laws because we have found out that people who are exporting labor without licenses, the majority of those people exported by such individuals and companies end up becoming victims of trafficking. So we are advocating that the task force is advocating that the government, the through Ministry of Labor, should criminalize whoever, should make laws which can criminalize whoever exports labor without a license. But as of now, it is not so.
But when you make such a suggestion, which is supposed to be a magic bullet to curtail over half of the problem at hand, do you give time frames? Because the Ministry of Labor can take for the next 2 presidential terms before they can come up with this kind of law. I mean, this government of ours seems to work very quickly when there are laws to curtail basic freedoms here of moving around. You can actually declare a certain grouping as illegal. But when it comes to putting in place a legal framework to protect our citizens from abuse outside, that takes a long time. Doesn't that bother you?
It does. And that's where the challenge comes in. Because we are running a task force which has a multiplicity of agencies and ministries and departments. And
but does not have a legal framework that
but you don't, and you don't have executive powers over those other people who are supposed to do their duty. Ours is to identify a problem, and we expect the lead agency, the lead ministry, to take it up the Ministry of what you know.
So the Honorable Mwesu Garukuta and all
yeah.
his handlers who are watching this program this morning, I think the buck is now at your doorstep, and you had better act very quickly, or else we'll continue to see the bleeding of your fellow citizens being taken out for exploitation and abuse as a result of having no legal framework to curtail those who export labor without license. But that does also mean that those who have the licenses have not fallen to the little machinations of wanting to make a quick buck by illegally sending out people, or sending out people to carry out illegal activities that eventually lead to abuse and use when they get out there. How do you rein on to those who already have licenses?
Yeah, it's true. There are a few of those who have licenses who have where the clients they have sent out have turned into victims of trafficking. And it's not that they, most of the complaints have been that they are not properly briefed. When these people reach the destination areas of work, they find the working conditions different from what they were briefed. We've always, whenever receive such reports, we have acted first and alerted these companies. First of all, to secure these people, because our the first priority is securing the people from the suffering. So we've always alerted them, and they have always cooperated to bring back the people. And that is one thing, to bring back those people here. And when they bring them back, we have always opened up criminal case files. But there is a way, in fact, most of those who have been complained against, they always compensate the victims, and the victims withdraw their complaints. And for us, we have no problem with that. But then, administratively, they have been given warnings, because the licenses are issued by Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. And all these people who have been complained against have been given official warnings. And we are monitoring them. If more complaints are filed against them,
you deregister them.
They are going to be deregistered.
Human trafficking is obviously a global phenomenon, and many people would imagine that you would seek for global solutions, because it is the same as it would happen in Kenya as it happens in Uganda. It is the same as it would be if a Burmese citizen is being trafficked to Saudi Arabia. It's the same as if a Bangladeshi was being smuggled into Uganda for sex tourism and the like. What synergies do you have beyond just Interpol with the international, policing apparatus to ensure that when an alarm goes off in Uganda, it is felt in Bangkok, it is felt in Beijing, it's felt in Berlin?
First of all, there is apart from Interpol, we use the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Through our embassies. Our embassy officials are well sensitized, and they are really helping a lot to manage cases of victims of trafficking in the respective countries. And we've been always encouraging our nationals, when they get problems, at least to escape to those embassies, so that they can be able to assist them. But what we are working on, we have made the recommendation to the government, and the government has already taken steps to establish bilateral agreements. At this memorandum of understandings between certain countries
which are prone to
where most of our people are going for employment.
These include China,
and this one includes
Saudi Arabia.
But what we have begun with the Middle East countries, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and arrangements are already in place. Actually, the first meeting was supposed to have taken place some time back, but the host countries have told us they are still organizing themselves. But our foreign affairs is in touch with them, and we think when we use that, it is going to help. Then also, we've been internally making some protests on the way they treat our people, like the issue of withdrawing passports from Ugandans who go to work there on contracts. And recently, there has been communication. Now, these Arab countries, Saudi Arabia, have started withholding the taxes for only the passports for only the probation period of 6 months. After that, they will be returning the passports to the people. So there is that internal communication, internal protests, internal linkages between the countries through Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Withholding passports means that you curtail the worker from escaping.
Yeah, that is it.
So why don't they make their conditions better to entice the worker to stay longer as opposed to forcefully withholding that? Isn't that a discussion you can have later?
Yeah, that's the argument we are putting. That's the argument we are putting to them. and at least all of the countries actually, because it's not only Ugandan passports.
Because I know for people who go to the United States of America using funny reasons, they are praying for the most part that their passports are withdrawn from them so that they're unable to come back. Yeah. But here you see people going to Kuwait or Qatar, they are dying to return back to Uganda because of the conditions.
Because of the conditions. So that's the outcry we are making. And also, quietly, our diplomatic officers are trying to
engage at the bilateral
with those governments.
Tell me something, Moses, here. When, God forbid, someone you know passes off in a road accident, you bought a car to go and bury them. Because it's inevitable. You must use the same means that possibly led to the death of somebody.
Yeah.
We've seen cases upon cases of people returning here and say, look, out there, it is a hellish existence. We are lied to here, we are taken there for greener pastures, only to find not even hay, dry and hard as it could be. Yet you see many more Ugandans still willing to fall prey to these schemes by human traffickers.
Yeah.
What causes that level of desperation? Is it the failure by most people to appreciate the dangers that await them there, or there is simply not enough information to many people that in fact human trafficking is real and it is done by real people and the repercussions are disastrous?
I think it's a combination of what you have said. One is that there is no yet, I have to admit, we have not yet reached everyone to inform them that there is a danger, and that we're already moving on to make sure that at least we move to all the various societies, communities, and inform them. So some people are not informed, and these people who are in the chain, they use that advantage of ignorance. But we have also got some categories of people who have had, who watch who
are watching us this morning, but are willing to go and take money,
to take a risk, and still go. And I think there is desperation. And this is due to desperation because of the push factors, because of challenges of lack of employment. Someone thinks, let me take my risk, and let me take a risk, let me take a trial. Maybe I may get the right person to work for, and that is what is contributing that. And yet, outside there, the demand for cheap labor is still very, very wide.
And growing.
And it's growing, it is there, and yet also it has the challenge of people who have mindsets who do not respect other people, who do not respect don't have respect for other people, especially maybe blacks, and I think for other outsiders, because even we have Philippines are also suffering in those Arab countries, and they are suffering, and other people, even not only blacks, or not only.
You know, we are simply saying that Arabs, wherever they are,
some people
are very disrespectful of other races.
I think so.
And I want to believe that if their embassies are watching us this morning, really, at the risk of sounding xenophobic and all that, use this holy month of Ramadan to go back to the very basics of your religion, which I think really dictates that all human beings are equal and the same, no matter their skin color. So I want to believe that those are our friends from the Arab countries who think that we of this skin color are less, are inferior, and should be abused and used when we are providing you labor. You should tap your heart during this holy month and pray that your Almighty Allah does give you the magnanimity to believe that we are all human beings, black or white, but we are all children of the same God you profess. It doesn't make sense for you to come around boistering to be extremely religious when your religion is not being practiced in the way you respect other people. That's my bit of Simon Says, which has come before I should have said it. But as we conclude, Mr. Vinoga here, you head the Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force in the ministry.
Yes.
What can we hold you to as a key performance indicator in the short term, let's say in the next 3 years? Because I do not know what your tenure is and all that. But you, as a task force, what can we hold you as your... Will you have reduced the cases by so much percentage? What is your target?
One, we would want to put in place structures and systems which can promote coordination between within the country and also between Uganda and other countries in the management of this crime. We have a belief, you know, that it is not something we can say we are going to finish at once, because even in the US, which started fighting it many years ago, it is still a challenge, it is still there.
Well, so the US wouldn't be the best example, given how many years, for 500 years plus, they were taking labor from this place, and you know what they were doing to it.
Yeah, so we would want to put the systems coordination so that we can be able to easy communication, easy way of rescuing victims, and that one we think it is one of our major targets. The other one is to continue raising awareness, because we feel when we raise awareness, we are intending to reduce the number of new cases.
Without a doubt. Now, Moses, you know, when you have such grand targets, sometimes we need to have a point at which we come to evaluate you. Yes. So when you return here, 1 year down the road, what figures will you be telling us? To what extent will you have done your coordination and awareness? Shall we say that in the next 1 year, I expect that 65% of Uganda will be fully aware and I will have done coordination to this extent? I mean, just break it down for us. Say in the next 3 years.
I think in the next 3 years, first of all, we shall have. I expect that we shall have clear laws, which, because we are reviewing labor laws, laws related to immigration, laws related to adoption of children, all those. We feel we shall have clear laws which can curtail this crime, and then you know, currently we don't have a proper estimate of the number of people who are going out, and we cannot easily tell who are those ones who are likely to be taken out, because the crime is only detected after it has already happened. It has already happened. Yeah, yes. When it has already happened, that's when we detect it. But we feel we can calculate from the number of new cases which are registered that we hope they are going to reduce, so that we shall only have to handle the old cases, people who went there without knowing. So I think I cannot at this moment give you concrete figures and benchmarks. I'm going to make the homework properly after making the proper analysis, but we hope in 3 years we shall have proper systems of coordination. We shall have laws here in Uganda which can help us and to apprehend the suspects in a better way, and also handle the victims, rehabilitate them in a better way. Then also we hope we are going to spread out the capacity. We shall have increased the capacity of the enforcement agencies so that they are able to continue detecting and handling cases of human trafficking as they come in. Yep.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moses Binoga, who you are the coordinator of the Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force at the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Let's take a short break and return. It's my opinion. We are always here and talking about something called globalization, which means that we are all in the world, no matter the physical boundaries or even those boundaries set across on the world map. That we are living in a global village where there should be free movement of labor. But here we see a phenomenon cropping up called human trafficking. Human trafficking becomes human trafficking as opposed to free movement of labor when somebody that you employ from another part of the world begins to live a hellish existence under your care, under your patronage. And this very particularly goes out to those of you who prefer labor from these parts of the country, or those of us who have to live here and go and sell or vend our labor to other parts of the country, of the world, only for us to be used and abused. I think it is at the core of basic human decency that when you are employing somebody, you must treat them just as they should treat a human being. I mean, they are animal rights. People don't treat animals in any way. There's protection of the environment where you don't just cut down trees anyhow. Why would you, after respecting animals, respecting plants, then mistreat fellow human beings, maybe simply because they don't even have the same skin color as you do? I think we need to get down to the very core issue of humanity. What makes humanity humanity? Or maybe in this part of the world, what we call Ubuntu, where you know that a fellow human being, no matter what they may look like or what faith they profess, that they are basically a human being who needs to be respected at that very core. The moment we recognize that, then the case of human trafficking, abuse and use will certainly not be something that we'll be talking about in the same way we're talking about it today. But of course, we also know that there are many people who are willing to do anything to make money. Now, if you're willing to take the risk to do anything to make money, please, when things go bad, do not whinge and whine, because you have simply put yourself at a position where you are desperately in need of being used and abused, all in the name of making money. Sometimes we need to cut ourselves some slack. But of course, it is easier said from the comfort of where I am than the realities that bite many of you who decide to go and attend to some of these calls to go and work elsewhere. I would never understand that until I'm in that situation. But I'm saying it can certainly change. There could be some ways that we would harness better, as opposed to being lured, cajoled, or even for the most part lied to end up in situations that are described as being trafficked. Have a good morning. Have a wonderful week and make it productive. Whether or not you are in the business of exporting human labor, make it productive and make it honest, so that the very people that you send out there are not used and abused. And if they are, kindly protect them and bring them back home in safety. Have a good morning.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
You can bring everybody in parliament as long as they can wake up and vote for their NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am Muyai?
It's absolutely true. I admired President Museveni.
Is the ICC a fiscal code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only the two individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
Are you and I ever gonna have a chance to be sisters?
You want the baby to have my name?
Would that be okay?
Son, I'm happy you came.
Yes, especially since I thought you were shunning all things Newman. I have my own reasons for showing up.
What did you say about him?
I'm sorry, attempted rape.
Okay, look, whatever you think you know about him, you don't know his heart.
If there is a way to make me feel more miserable, you will instinctively find it.
You gave up the one woman you loved, and now you're having a hard time figuring out how to move on?
I can't imagine who would want to hurt a good man like you.
Okay, you know what? I don't need you telling me how to feel about Lily.
Are you pregnant? No. Then why are you trying to alienate Tyler?
Has something happened between the two of you? Are you afraid that I'm gonna do something to ruin your marriage, or that you will?
Why don't we have a party? I'll bring Nikki and bring your siblings. How's that?
Now, what are you gonna do? You gonna blackmail them this time, or are you gonna bribe them?
Looks like Mommy's not the only one who knows how to make up a story.
The average age of the entire national team is under 18.
The primary role of Team Uganda is to remain to Division 2.
Probably that's the only thing that can make one or two rugby fans smile, that the Cubs are doing well.
The players haven't put on they haven't wore the game faces. They're not the animals we saw last season, because Ferguson had the same group of players and he did deliver the Holy Grail, which is the title. I have missed the first goal. Do you want to tell you?
I don't know how I feel. I don't.
U-Turn, now closer to you as it turns your world with great humour on Tuesdays at 7:40 p.m.
You are here, we are sleeping, you're saying, get out of my husband's apartment, so you run out. I'm your chasing out of
Login slides down to 7:40 p.m. on Wednesday.
On login, the street jam, they want what video shoot on NTV.
Hey there, Mr. Krabs! Are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiastics.
Oh, Mr. Krabs!
Isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that?
The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought.
It's time to finish this thing up!
What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
Mega Rangers? That's a mega win!
Hello?
King Julian, you are truly inspiring.
Ow! SpongeBob!
Fantastic!
oluvannyuma lwa lutalo abaana bangi batwalibwa abekika era bulala basigadde
abamu bajja ne babakima
era twagenda mu lukoola eyo nakasongola mu buluuri twagenda mu butale babalaaro okubuuza omwana oyo mumanyi
nti mukwate obutonde obwekonkome mukwate obutonde bwa Ebola mubuteeke mu nsigo omuzungu ayogedde palamenti muyise bosi basajja omulembe guno gutuusemu n'abantu n'entondo kati waliwo n'emyaka egy'entondo
waliwo yakiŋŋamba
bamugamba muŋŋambe bulungi kati munkwate empola
dokita buli akwata bayibuli eno ajja kusomera bintu nga ye bw'alowooza. For example, waliwo controversy yaliwo
tobeera mu ssuuti ate n'oteeka mu gganduula
olina kubeerako kimu
kubanga nkusomesezza tumaze emyaka 2 tusomesa bannayuganda eddembe lyammwe mulimanyi oluusi n'obusobozi obulina
nakulabira abaganda baagala kabaka
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Mulondo.
Welcome back from the break. You're still watching Morning at NTV. Today we say happy birthday to Mike Tyson. He turns 48, one of the most feared human beings in the boxing ring. For a time, he was unbeaten and unbeatable. Now, obviously, he's back in the news, well, from last week. People are comparing his bite to Suarez's bite, and I just had to add that in. Also celebrating a birthday today is Michael Phelps, who made headlines for his eating regime. He's also a very decorated sportsman with lots of Olympic medals. Apparently, he used to take in 12,000 calories per day. Now, on to some of your messages on Facebook this morning. We have Musa Katende saying, this was in regard to the story of human trafficking. Musa Katende says, thanks NTV. Human trafficking is a crucial matter in not only violating human rights, but also in the development of their regions. That's why I say thanks for addressing this issue. Derek Rock says, thank you so much NTV. These are such issues that always need to be addressed. We had Moses Binogo talking about human trafficking and the challenges it poses to the country, and also, I guess, the labor laws that are lacking in this country or that are not enforced. We have Achema saying, Simon, you are the man. I love your interviews. Why don't we negotiate better terms with labor recruitment agencies before our brethren leave this country for these jobs? I see this as a prevention to human trafficking. Let's register all companies that export labor and hold them accountable for our people who fall victims to this trafficking. Do keep your thoughts coming in on our Facebook page as well as Twitter, or you can send an SMS to 6565. We now cross over to Brian for Everyday Life. Good morning, Brian.
Well, thank you, Mebo. This morning on Everyday Life, the internet has had a fantastic and sometimes not fantastic way of looking at things now. But this morning we're going to look at how Ugandans have used it as a platform for their businesses and making their products known. And we'll be looking at the pros and cons of online marketing. Hamza Junju and Rita from Remzak are here to share with us this morning. Well, Hamza and Rita this morning from Remzak. Good morning, guys.
Very good
Welcome
morning
to the show.
Thank you so much.
First, briefly tell us about what you do at Remzak.
Well, very good morning to beloved viewers of NTV. At Remzak, I'm there as the PR personnel.
Okay.
And good morning, Uganda. I'll use that, and East Africa in general, because I know we are being viewed all over the region. So we are from the PR desk, Remzak, Uganda.
What do you do at Remzak?
Well, a number of things that we are doing at Remzak. But actually, when I was sleeping, before I woke up, I think something kept running in my head. I had a dream. There was a long queue around NTV. It was really surprising that everyone is just shouting, Remzak, Remzak. But I think it's a dream coming true that I'm on NTV. And of course, we're here to talk about Remzak and of course, how people can register with Remzak and a number of things that are involved within Remzak. But basically, to talk about Remzak, it's a local and international notice board where we can meet sellers and of course, showcasing different products online.
You said the word notice board. What exactly? Okay. What is the, yes, how does it work?
It's normally a display. At Remzak, we are redefining trade. Simple understanding trade is the buying and selling of goods. So at this notice board or the display, which is online, we are giving chance to two parties involved in trade. That is the sellers and the buyers.
Exactly.
So the sellers have to display their products so that they are seen by the buyers. Then we do a link between the buyer and the seller, so that
you guys are like the middlemen.
No, we are not doing any middlemanship.
Actually, in this, the unique thing about this, there is no middlemanship.
Because you know the disadvantages, I will say, of middlemanship. One of the barriers to trade is pricing, and whenever you allow a middleman to come in there, then you know the price is likely to go higher, because we know we pay middlemen commission and other things. But for us, what are we doing? We are promoting direct trade. Because the trade is the buying and selling. So we are doing away with middlemanship.
We are directly linking you to the seller. We're just directly linking you to the seller.
Are you providers of a platform, say, for online marketing? If I want to sell my television, I'll go there and say I want 300,000 shillings.
Yes.
So what, in other words, you, because you're linking me to the seller, to the buyer directly. If I get 300,000 from my product.
Of course, at this particular time, we are just starting because Remzak has been online for about 2 months. So we are giving back to community. This season, actually, we are giving out for a full year. It is going to be free of charge. You just post what you want to sell off, and we are not going to charge you anything.
All right. I want us this morning to define online marketing, because it has, I don't know if people have different definitions of this, or some people have abused it. Since you do part of this, what would you tell an ordinary Ugandan what online marketing is?
Okay, we shall go to the simple things. There are two words in here, online and marketing. But we know very well marketing comes from the word market. Market is a place where buyers and sellers meet. When we link it to the word online, it is we are doing this through internet.
Exactly.
So we are providing various platforms where buyers and sellers can meet. That's what we call online marketing. You are giving chance to a buyer and a seller meeting online or through internet to do business together as two parties. That is the buyer and the seller.
But of course, a number of companies have come up with different blogs, maybe social media platforms. We have Twitter, so I mean, Facebook, and of course, mentioned by a few, but of course, a number of them. But with this case, we decided to come up with a blog of Remzak. And the unique thing about it, first of all, the classified thing about it, You know, with Twitter, you cannot find classified business like it is with Resmark. This is something totally that is going to be unique, or something that is really unique about Resmark online marketing. And besides that, at least you post whatever you want, and you just get linked to the buyer or the seller immediately.
You post whatever you want, and I'm going to get, you know, how do you protect sellers or buyers? Because, you know, online marketing, I am not a very good, unless I'm buying something from, say, trusted sources like eBay.
But with this kind, there is no risk actually involved. Because first of all, I think something that we would be scared of, and a number of Ugandans would be scared of, trust me, probably maybe if there was exchange of money. But in this case, you are being linked directly to the seller. And
once in a while,
whatever happens.
Once in a while, I buy equipment from eBay or Gumtree or Amazon. And I trust those places because I've been there for years.
Yes.
And I cannot take my product to you because I do not know you. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. What is your guarantee for me that I'll get my product? That even if I send money via PayPal to eBay or all these platforms, I'll sit back at home and know it will be delivered.
So let's get to the difference to what we are doing local and globally. We at Remzak, as you said, we are providing a platform, just linking the buyer and the seller. Now to the seller, we are discussing two parties here.
Right.
To the seller, how do you come into the idea of using the platform? Step one, this is online. So always everything starts with registration.
Right.
You go to our site, which is remzak.co.ug. You come across our blog. There is a registration kind of icon. You first register your details, anything concerning you as a seller. Then we shall give you a chance. We are going visual. Before you sell, you are not like on Facebook. You normally see people putting, I have a house. So we're telling you, take a visual of your products, upload them, display them. That is a seller. So a seller undergoes a formal registration process.
Right.
And a buyer, what is the role of a buyer? I know you visited our blog. Your role is to view. And we are going ahead to provide deeper details of the product on our platform so that the buyer understands. Two, we are not dealing in exchange of money as Remzak. Our role, number one, is to promote trade, which trade is direct between the buyer and the seller.
So the buyer and the seller will exchange the money?
Yes.
Do you guarantee delivery of the service, delivery of the product, or you, I don't know how I can even lightly put this. For you, you're like a newspaper. I'll advertise, and whatever happens to me thereafter is none of your business.
Molondo, I know you're a businessman. You are saying you buy. You see, services, it depends on what we are putting up. Our brand is dealing in displaying, linking the two. So in other words, we are not doing a secondary job of delivering your product. At the moment, we are providing info to two parties, the buyer and the seller. We are not doing the secondary job of delivering.
Right.
Our concern is money. You have to be cautious with your money.
All right.
You've read this on our info. You can give us feedback online and at the same time give feedback to the seller. But we are telling you, this is money. Be cautious.
Right.
First meet this person because we've helped you eliminate the middleman. In all scenarios where money has been taken, it is a middleman.
Exactly.
One says, I have a house, but it is from Molondo. Then he deals, he gets the cash.
Yes.
Remember, normally owners, by the time you come up with the idea of selling, you really want the money. So there is no way you'll put around because among the products you have, you said, I'm selling this. So we are saying, for us, we are not doing that. But we are saying, as a buyer, it's money. It's business, it's trade. Be cautious with your money.
You are agents of online marketing. And I know, yes, it's becoming bigger. We have social entrepreneurs now who trade a lot on Twitter, on Facebook. Are there forms that online marketing takes?
As in,
what are the different forms of online marketing? Is it just putting a notice board? How can I best use, as a business, best use that? Are there different platforms that I can use as far as online marketing is concerned?
Well, when it comes to Resmark, like I said, there is, I mean, the products are really classified. If you like, probably maybe if you want to advertise maybe a concert, you are just going to go to the page of concerts. If you want entertainment, or if you want electronics, if you want services, or if you want telecommunication, that is where exactly you're going to be. So I think somewhere, that is the most unique thing about this, that whatever you desire is whatever you put in, and probably you just go to that specific specific product that you want to advertise.
And Molondo, as we talk of other platforms, we at Remzak, we are just using them to make you get to know more about our page. We shall not transact on Facebook, we shall not transact on Twitter, but we shall use those platforms to link you to where business is.
Exactly.
Two, if you look at uniqueness of all other blogs, I know you've used many. One, we have an advanced search. What does it mean? You a buyer, you go to our blog. You are free to choose a specific item. We are not giving you to watch everything. By the time you come to our site, you know you want to buy a house. So you go to houses or apartments. So we are linking you direct to that. Then that is to the buyer. Another uniqueness thing about our blog with the seller now, for us we are able to run deals of the day. What does it mean? We are giving a chance to people who have, because at times we get cash there and then. You do your business, you have the money at the pocket, and you're willing to spend it, but it may be on valuable items. So we shall be running deals of the day. And the moment you transact that very fast, we've helped the buyer, and the seller sells it directly, and the buyer uses the money well. Then,
in the work that you do, what are the fears that people have when it comes to online marketing? I have my own fears, but let me know. What do your clients tell you?
And of course, when it comes to the fears, most people actually think that maybe linking you to the seller, of course, there is money involved. That is the greatest threat. Because of course, when it comes to money, that is the greatest threat. But with this, I'm quite sure there is no risk involved, because there is no exchange of money in this.
If you look at platforms like telex free marketing, let's first look at such things. Telex free marketing. People invest money. I still don't believe that I can sit at home, post something, and someone gives me free money. That's not how I was raised. I was raised to work hard for everything. But in such scenarios, that's why I'm asking you, what do your clients tell you? What fears, or even you in your own work, or looking at other businesses, what are some of the challenges of online marketing?
First.
Like I said, Molondo. Of course, if you look at telex free, that was totally something different. You had to invest money and probably post different ads to get something out of that. But this is something different with Remzak. And I actually still say there is no risk involved within a Remzak.
I think it's clear.
It's not about your company now. You are online traders, you are involved in online marketing.
Risk
what
number
are the
one, to trade, and especially in Africa. All over the world they are using this in a secure way. How do they do it? Information. We are calling out all Ugandans, East Africans. It's high time we reach that high level. Why do you give away your money when you don't know why? Two, why do you always go in for free things?
For free things.
Yet we know in transacting, there is nothing for free. These are basics of business. We don't have what we call free things. Free goods are provided by nature. But anything money-made must go with money. So at the moment, the major challenges, even the questions, the feedback we get, when you go to the deeper root of it, it shows you that this buyer really doesn't understand the concept. That's why we are going informative. We've left persuasive of simply telling people, do this, do this. We are telling you, buyer and seller meet. Talk into detail.
I don't want you guys to focus on what your company does. I called you here to tell me about online marketing. And I'm asking you, what are the challenges of online marketing?
Risk number one.
If you talk about your business, I will stop this interview. So help people who want to be involved in online marketing.
One, risk number one, losing money. But what is the cause? Because we should not just, what is the cause? We are dealing in things we don't know.
Ignorance.
Excitement. Ignorance. That's why, two, another risk, I'll be direct on this, middlemanship. They are the major cause of consumer ignorance.
Right.
Brokerage, they convince you that they have the product, yet they are aware they don't have. So locally now, depending on the feedback we are getting, we've realized too, everyone is fearing losing money. People have the money, but losing it for nothing. Then two, they are highlighting that middlemen are bringing high cost pricing, making business harder and harder day by day.
So finally, how can businesses best utilize platforms of online marketing? You know, if I want to get my product out there, what's the best way I can use the internet?
First of all, with internet or maybe online marketing, first of all, at least it's a little bit cheap. It's actually cheap. It's the cheapest way of selling off your product or marketing your product. And then the other thing, it can easily be accessible. Because at the moment, if you look at the statistics, over 80%, I think over 80% people are having smartphones, and probably any person can really get access to the product someone is selling out there. So probably maybe either way it is the cheapest, and trust me, it is the best way to go at the moment. It is the trend, it's becoming the trend.
Right. Any last words for our people, especially guarding themselves against the fraud on the internet?
I think your most worry is the risks involved.
No, I don't like people being told that you can get free things. That's what I don't like, that's what I don't believe in.
That is caution number one. In business and trade, let's avoid believing that we shall get free goods and services. Two, let's be cautious using our money. Then three, we are not going to dwell with online marketing because we believe no business is too small. So whatever we have, it's the trend now. Let's go online, sell our products, eliminate the middleman who has been hiking price, becoming a barrier in trade. So we are telling all people there, let's embrace online marketing because it is the way to go, simplifying linkage between the seller and the buyer.
Right. Let's continue that discussion on Facebook and Twitter at Morning at NTV, and of course go to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV. If you are involved in online marketing, you can also get there and answer some of the questions that our viewers have for you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
And the World Cup still continues with its shockers. I was very sad for Mexico, but yeah, life is what it is. When we come back, we'll be talking fixtures of today. Africa is going to be playing probably some of the world's biggest giants in football. Stay with us. Isma Mebanda will be back.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
The average age of the international team is under 18.
The primary role of Team Uganda is to remain to Division 2.
Probably that's the only thing that can make one or two rugby fans smile, that the clubs are doing well.
The players have not put on they've not wore the game faces. They're not the animals we saw last season, because Ferguson had the same group of players, and he did deliver the Holy Grail, which is the title.
Health in Wellness
is brought to you by Caring Tech Strength, Panadol Advance. When minutes matter, take Panadol Advance. Panadol Advance is a fast pain reliever with Optizop technology. Caring Tech Strength. Panadol Advance.
Mikwano gyaffe bana NTV ate naddala mu bannaamu muli gw'emizannyo. Muli gw'ebyemizannyo gukomyewo 2014 ate mutya. Kati ate gukyusiza n'obudde. Gwa 7 kitundu wali gwa 9 ne gugoberera ntusanyuka kati gubongereddeko wano malya g'ebyemisana awo. Guso tugubatayize gubaletire bintu kyonna kalonda ino byemizannyo. Ogwemuli gw'ebyemizannyo mupya 2014 Isima wali alagira Argentina yenjo mukubira eddiba lye omukwano kujja kukomawo ku muli gw'emizannyo ne kasita kinatuuka eri bano ba Messi okulumba abalenzi baffe ba Thiago Silva awo tewali mukwano omuli gw'ebyemizannyo 2014 keziyite.
Hey there, Mr. Krabs. Are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiastics.
Oh, Mr. Krabs.
Isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that? The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought.
It's time to finish this thing up!
What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
Mega Rangers?
Yeah.
That's a mega win!
Hello? King Julian, you are truly inspiring. Ow! Sponge pot!
Fantastic.
On the next episode, brought to you by...
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
On the next episode of Deception.
Okay, to office. Okay, Mama. Okay, sit. Mommy.
We've got a common enemy. That enemy is Bataka.
I would rather work with Bataka to stop you. What? Listen, what do you really want?
Baby, I already told you what I want. I want you. I want you back. I'm back.
Deception.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Boda.
It's morning at NTV, and this morning we're You guys look nice.
Thank you.
Cut short.
Thank you.
Today you didn't plan.
Brian, you're putting ideas in people's heads.
No, I'm just saying. You look good. Good morning.
Good morning, Brian.
Did you pass your exam?
Yeah, you were writing an exam.
Sometimes
I think it was economics. So you failed that one.
No, it was fair. It was fair.
Right.
I've got to say, probably my lecturer is not watching at this point in time, because if she is, then can I make an appeal on national TV? I love that A+, not only B-. Please, you can.
I
am
hand considering going back to school, but the thought of processing all that in my head freaks me out. But whoever is mastering or pursuing a PhD, good on you. Yeah, every day you must try and better yourself. This morning, the World Cup, Isma, how close to a tragedy were Brazil before beating Chile?
They were as close as the size of a goalpost, because Pinilla, the guy who came off a bench for Chile, could have buried them. He had that shot that rattled the woodwork right at the end of the game before the penalty shootout. So for a moment, my mind just kept running back to 1950, because Brazil, when they were World Cup hosts in that final, they led against Uruguay and then conceded 2 goals to lose the game by 2-1. Now, in that moment, when this boy struck the woodwork, I kept on asking myself, do you know what you would have just done to those 60,000 inside that stadium? It would have been so painful for Brazil, but football is not fair, and that's what Iris tell me about here when she's throwing morals at me. Iris tell you there is no fairness.
The Brazilians pray. I think their prayers.
Nigeria also.
But
did you see them on the pitch before the penalties?
Yeah.
It was like I was speaking in tongues or
Mexico was praying.
But you know, not too long ago, if you remember, 3 years ago, the Chileans were praying an entire country to help their miners get out of that hole. You remember? And you know, Brazil is used to be one of the most racist countries. Not until 1958
did they allow blacks feature in their team? And when they did, that's the first time they won the World Cup, and they won 5 since. So I tell you, sport is about win. When you win, every story is not a story. And eventually, they did get it done in a penalty shootout, because the game ending 1-0 within the 90 minutes, and then within the extra time, David Luiz awarded the goal, which I thought was a clear own goal for the Chileans there. And then Alexis Sanchez getting the equalizer. But eventually, an extra time where Brazil, I thought, gave it a bit more than the Chileans, because Chile, I think, were more comfortable going the penalty shootout. But when they go to the shootout, how do you miss your first 2 penalties? I've not seen that anywhere.
Do you blame the shooter, or you say the keeper is good? I
think the goalkeeper. Actually, in the moment, because I had not watched enough of Claudio Bravo, the Chilean goalkeeper, in shootouts than Julio Cesar. But when they go to the penalty shootout, where the goalkeeper is normally the hero, or probably a bad penalty kick is one for the villain, and Brazil had 2 villains who could have walked out of that stadium in tears, in Willian and Hulk, who missed their kicks. I thought that the advantage is always going to be in Cesar, because I've seen him as one of the better ones in the shootout. While the penalties are always a lottery, there are goalkeepers that have told you they'll probably save 1 or 2. Listen, they have a chance against the German, even if eventually the quality of the Germans should shine through, because they are way the better team, where they play and the kind of achievements they have. Their CVs is still much bigger. They are 3-time world champions. That didn't come for nothing. Algeria have only reached a round of 16 for only the first time since they failed back in 1982. So should be skewed for one side. But maybe we shouldn't be so angry about the Nigerians, because one of the things is that they were promised money. First of all, for every game they won in the group stages. 10,000 for every game they won, which they beat Bosnia, and 5,000 for draw. That's dollars, not Ugandan shillings. Now they got that 15,000. Then they were also promised a bonus of $15,000 for making the round of 16. Now here is what happens, which they did, and they have the Nigerian FA does want to give them that money. Yet they were promised to be paid money from last year's Confederations Cup. They weren't paid. Last year they were in Brazil playing the Confederations Cup, where
so
they beat
failed promises after failed promises.
Exactly.
No,
so that's the thing.
It's like a relationship. The man has told you he's going to marry you. Then he gives you 2 children. Then he still says, now when we build a house. When you build a house, now when we buy a plane. Really?
No, but I think being in that relationship should maybe count more than, I don't know, the ring on your finger or whatever. It's just the same. Being on that, do you know how many people would give an arm and a leg just to be in Brazil?
Yeah, there are so many.
So many. I would for
Brian took a saying, and I know we are dwelling a lot on this, but it has stained African football for a long time. Brian Tuka said that the reason is because the administrators of football have made this very hard for players to even go to stages like the World Cup and play
with their minds focusing on the World Cup.
Because it's about the honor of being before the world stage and doing what you have to do. But our football managers have narrowed it down to getting the money.
Exactly.
If you don't give me money, I won't play.
And there's a lot of it, and I was seeing the FIFA Secretary General, that is Jerome Valcke, this morning saying that he thinks going forward, every team should hand in an agreement between them and the players in regard to bonuses in tournaments going forward that FIFA will organize. That's one way of dealing with it. But I think it's about the deceit that players go through. It's about the lies they're being told. Look at it this way. Every team that qualifies for the World Cup is given $2 million to organize, to prepare their team and get it to Brazil. Then thereafter...
You're joking?
Exact $2 million.
From FIFA?
From FIFA. Then after you get to the World Cup, after you've qualified and get to Brazil, you receive an extra $8 million.
From FIFA?
From FIFA. Then for every stage you go to the round of 16, you get 12 million, you get 16, and then after that...
And FIFA pays you that?
They pay you that to qualify
That's
for the World
enough motivation.
And exactly after that, no, they give it to the FA. They don't give it to the players. Now the FA has to deal with the players to share the money. And thereafter, if you win the World Cup, you get $35 million. But I think the difference between Africa and Europe here comes in the sense that for the African teams, the players do negotiate with their federations. Now, because in Europe they are much stronger, it's the unions of the players or players representatives that negotiate with the federation, so that players concentrate on the football. Yeah. When Spain won the World Cup 4 years ago, each of the players received $650,000 as appreciation. And I don't see Iniesta sitting in a room debating how much he should earn. And there's someone negotiating for that. Now that's what we don't have. Eto negotiates, Mikel negotiates, and that's where the problem starts.
Okay, this is a very annoying subject, and we will break it down, I think, more tomorrow. Because I always thought to myself, are the countries the ones that finance?
No.
You know?
No, they don't.
Because if it's FIFA that is sending money to these countries, then they should... Tell us about Wimbledon. Quickly, what happened?
First of all, Serena Williams is out, and it's turning out to be a very sad year for her because I saw her get knocked out earlier in the year in Australia.
In Australia,
yeah. In the 4th round, and then the 2nd round at the French Open. That means for Serena to go to her slam, she's got to go to the US home and win at Flushing Meadows. It's been a bad year somehow, and it's only dawned on me yesterday. Actually, on Saturday when I saw her losing to the French girl, Annie Cornet, who beat her actually in Dubai late last year. It's actually dawned on me at that point that Serena hasn't been playing well. She had had a strapping on her thigh, and actually last year, if I compare it to last year, she played 82 games throughout 2013 and 178. Now, it had dawned on me at that point that, okay, Serena is not playing well this year. Now it's 3 slams and she's not going to win any of them. But while she's out, I watched also another very good one where her sister got knocked out, Petra Kvitova. And actually Petra Kvitova plays Simona Peng, today the Chinese. There's also another good one between Angelique Kerber and Maria Sharapova later today in one of those games. And then for the men, Andy Murray gets into the 2nd week against Kevin Anderson, the South African. And then there's Novak Djokovic against Joe Wilfred Tsonga. Just should be probably the highlight for me of the start of week 2, because many of the people say in the Grand Slam, week 1, just get done with the results. It's here where the tennis starts, because there's a final on Sunday and everyone will want to be walking out at Wimbledon on the lush green to try and win a Wimbledon title. Right. So the real Wimbledon starts today for me.
Well, moving on to the African under-17 youth champions, Tuka said last week that these ones actually look under-17. So we comfortably knocked out Seychelles, did we?
Yes, we did. Actually had the luxury of missing a penalty that had to be retaken. Andrew Kering, the captain, had a penalty in the first half. He took the first time, went in, but there was encroachment in the box, and then he was asked to retake the penalty. And actually, on the second time of asking, he missed it. But at the time, Uganda leading by 3-0, and eventually... So
it didn't matter.
It didn't matter that much. So eventually, they won the game over the 2 legs by 5-1, because they had won the first one by 2-1 on the island, which means that now Uganda go and play against Rwanda. But while I was, in the moment when I wanted to celebrate Uganda knocking out Seychelles, I looked at how far this team can go, because this is a qualifier for next year's Under-17 World Cup in Chile. Now, it's quite a journey. Let me just relate this way. They beat Seychelles. Now they have to beat Rwanda. After that, they play the winner between Zambia and Botswana in the next round, and then qualify for the Africa Cup for the Under-17, which will be played in Niger. Now, the first semi-finals from that Under-17 Niger will qualify for the World Cup. It's too long that sometimes I don't think we have the concentration to last that long in a competition, because since when it's stretched out over several months, we start to do something wrong here and there. There's always something bound to go wrong when the qualification process is long. Now, when I look too far ahead and say we'll go to Chile 2015, I'm looking back and saying, I'm only happy we are playing in another 17 competition. We don't feature in many of these, and no one ever cares whether we feature or not. Life still goes on. There are so many competitions that take place where Uganda doesn't take part, and everyone is happy with them. They still go on and people win medals. Where Uganda takes part, I'm very privileged that this Under-17 team is there.
Right. Well, Isma will be talking more sport at 1:30 p.m. with Lumansi and Alan. And of course, tonight, Sports Bar from Club Silk at 10:30 p.m. We'll also be looking at more World Cup games. Tonight, France is going to be beaten by Nigeria. And we're going to revenge. This is going to be like USA versus Ghana. But this time, the Germans will be crying. Hallelujah. Guys, believe with me.
Brand's faith alone.
Let's send it to your African proverb. If you have any African proverb to feature, please go to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV, and of course at Morning at NTV, and contribute. NTV scooped about 12 awards at the RTV Awards on the weekend. I was, privileged to be there, and I think it's a great milestone for us.
Yeah, I was nominated. I didn't eventually win, but I know it's an honor.
For the nomination.
When you are nominated, it's good as winning. Morning at NTV was nominated. So.
We were?
Yeah.
Oh, after
in
5
breakfast
months?
TV shows, yes.
Oh my goodness! And this is the start. Okay, tomorrow is the start of our 6th month. on air. Yeah.
Yes.
And we have
Women and-
22,000 likes on Facebook.
So we are doing a good job.
I love Mabel, women and dates.
And dates and numbers.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
I'm good with numbers, not dates. They're totally different things. Yeah, but I think some of those awards that probably given time would grow. I know there's a lot of criticism towards it from all kinds of corners. And when the organizers talk about the panel that they have, it's probably a mirage. No one knows where exactly the panel is and who sits on the panel. But I think it's a good idea. It's a good idea. It's something that you can. I'm normally not the kind of person who throws away, trashes things probably after 2 years or 3 years. With no understanding how growth comes. And I remember I've had this argument with so many sports people. You've got to give something a period of probably 10 years, a gestation period. Then after 10 years, pick your sword and gun, shoot them because they've done nothing in that period of 10 years. So I think in that kind of sense, the RTV Awards, congratulations everyone who won, especially NTV. Yeah. Brian, you're not one of them, neither is Mabel.
Well, I am part of NTV, so we were winners. Yes, thank you so much for loving us, and we'll continue and promise you quality programming, of course, until the day probably Jesus comes back. Yeah. Want to wish you a fantastic week ahead. Please go to our Facebook page and tweet and follow us. SMS platform is 6565 for any feedback. And we are coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop with some of the green here. And I'm feeling good about this week. Hope you feel good about it too. Bye-bye.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulundo.
NTV, turning on your world.
Our weekend programming will keep you on the edge of your seats.
Running would be a good idea.
Our most watched teen show in the country, Teen Nation, will be screening 6 p.m. on Sunday.
Don't forget to catch the show only on NTV.
What a way to wrap up the weekend. Kids, 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 the show that you do not want to miss for anything, is now at our prime time slot. 6 p.m. is fun time with Planet K.
NTV Planet K.
On the next episode, brought to you by...
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
Destiny River.
I sold the harvest from sunflower. I sold the entire harvest from sunflower.
Congratulations, Estella.
Thank you.
For the great deal.
Listen, Max, if you called me here to tell me to break up with Janana...
Do you think I'm stupid, Fred? Hey, Fred, would I ask a stud like you to break up with the best woman in Araguaia?
Neka, I'm a fugitive of the law. And she's a police officer. With me in jail.
Stop that, because I'm gonna prove that you're innocent.